All right, Shalom, Yasharallah. First off, I want to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Barasham Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. This is your brother Kana.
This brother Ayal.
And we're going to do a quick lesson that me and the brother Jomar had previously done on Instagram Live. I know a few of y'all had asked about it, asked how you could see the whole lesson because you'd only seen parts of it. And it wasn't able to save, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and redo the lesson. And it's called 3 Types of Single Women Drowning, Dehydrated, or Lost in the World. Right? So it shows there's a couple people in here right now. Y'all just let me know if you can't hear me. But we're going to go ahead and start in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 35.
It says, and if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church.
So a huge thing, a huge problem with a lot of women, as I previously stated many times in lives and posts and all of that type of stuff, is that women do not have, or the majority of women do not have a husband that can teach them and guide them and pour into them, right? So we're going to go over the 3 main types of women that do not have a husband to pour into them, as it says, right? So here in this scripture, it says that if women will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, right? So having a husband is actually a protection from the Most High. Not only is it a protection for women, but it's also a protection for their children, because if they're in the truth, they're going to teach not only the women or the wives, but also the children how to follow after the word of the Most High, right? So you have to look at it, or we have to change our view on marriage in general, especially for women, as from seeing it as like, oh, well, I don't want to be, I've heard many times, I don't want to be property, or I don't want to have someone telling me what to do, or you're not my dad, that type of thing, right? We have to see it as a good thing, because if you have an actual man that's in the truth, he is going to protect you, provide for you in every different way, shape, and form, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, especially, right? So let's go ahead and go to Proverbs 25 and 1. So the first type of woman that we're going to talk about is probably the most prevalent, that ask me personally for counseling and things of that nature, and it is the type of sister that is drowning in the truth. They know they're an Israelite, they maybe keep Sabbath, things of that nature, starting to dress more modest, etc., but they are drowning in water. And I'm going to explain exactly what that means in just a second. Go ahead.
This is Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 1. It says, these are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah.
Salakia 16.
Oh, 16.
Salakia.
Con.
25 and 16. Salakia.
25 and 16. This is Proverbs chapter 25, verse 16. And it says, hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomited.
So it's basically saying, if you found honey, don't eat too much or it can make you sick, right? Eat as much as sufficient for you, as much is good for you, right? So throughout the Bible, Yahweh to honey, and they compare it to water, they compare it to wine, all of these different things, just different symbolic references. In this one, it's talking about honey, and it says, eat as much as good for you, lest you vomit it up. So a lot of sisters, and this happens to brothers as well, but like I said, this live is specifically towards single sisters. They learn from a bunch of different men. They learn from a bunch of different camps, or a bunch of different brothers from different camps. And of course, they all have, well, not all of them, but a lot of them have contradicting doctrine that doesn't line up with each other. So then they'll hear, oh, well, this brother said this about baptism, that you need to get back. Oh, this brother said you don't have to. This brother said don't do it. This brother said it's optional, just as one example, right? So this is too much honey, and in reality, it's not all honey, because some of it isn't sweet. Some of it isn't the real living waters, right? If you want to get John 4 and 14. So the protection against this, again, for the sisters that are drowning and the sisters that, because this is a very prevalent question that I personally get, especially through Instagram. Well, you know, this, they teach this, or this brother teaches this, and I don't know what to believe, or I don't know what to, and they get very confused. And like I stated in the video earlier that I did today, the scriptures say that confusion is not of the Most High. So then where is that confusion coming from? Obviously, it's coming from Satan, right? So the waters that represents the doctrine, the true doctrine of the Bible, is what sisters, and of course brothers as well, but sisters, like we read in the very first verse, 1 Corinthians 14:35, need a husband in order to teach them properly. And again, it's a protection as to not go off on all these different doctrines and try and sort it out and figure it out for themselves, because it can be very stressful, and it can be really, what I'm seeing more than stressful is it's very discouraging, right? So go ahead on.
This is John chapter 4, verse 14. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up unto everlasting life.
So the water that comes from our Messiah and from the Most High, from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, is the water that gives us everlasting life. So what is this talking about? It's talking about the spiritual waters, right? Which is the doctrine of the Bible, the true doctrine of the Bible, right? So when I say drowning, again, a lot of different people, different sisters have reached out in the sense or to the effect of asking a question like, well, they teach this, they teach that. I don't know who to believe. I'm confused. What do you think I should do? Like when it comes to Sabbath, when it comes to holy days, when it comes to using the holy days as one example, right? If you have 5 different camps and probably 4 of them are going to have 4 different calendars for the different holy days, right? And then a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this as well, years ago, you just go off of whatever they say. Okay, they said it's this date, I'm going to do it this date. But what we have to get into the habit of, especially brothers, is being able to prove why we're, that in this example, why are we keeping it on this day? Oh, because the new moon's this day and I counted 14 days, so that's the Passover. We have to be able to prove all things, right? So even more so for a sister, it's even harder for her to do that when it comes to the living waters, which again is why we started with that scripture saying, if she will learn anything, let her learn from her husband at home. So if you want to jump up to verse 7, 4 and 7.
There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahweh saith unto her, give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, asketh drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans.
Go ahead.
Yahweh answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of Yahweh, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water.
So she's talking about, she's thinking that Yahweh is talking about actual water from the well, but he's talking about living water, which is the doctrine of the word, right? Keep going.
The woman saith unto him, sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water?
So she said, you don't have a bucket, you don't have anything to draw the water out of the well, and the well is very deep. How can you pull out water? How can you give me water? Go ahead.
Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Yahweh answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again.
Go ahead.
But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in a well of springing up into everlasting life.
So again, he's saying he's not talking about physical water. He's talking about the doctrine of the word, right? The living waters, which is why I've said many times as well, and I'm sure many other brothers have taught about it. When you read the Bible, You could read the same chapter 5 times, but if you're moving in the spirit and you're trying to keep the commandments and the Most High is giving you understanding, every time you read it, you're going to catch something new. You may find a new precept. Oh, you know what? This precept's with this, and you get a deeper understanding, right? On a more spiritual level, because it is living, right? It's the living waters. But he said that anybody that drinks of this water, it's going to be water springing up out of them, right? So just like Yahushua also said, he who believeth on me, as the scriptures say, out of his belly shall pour living waters, right? Or waters of living waters, right? So a man that follows the word and that knows the precepts gives that water off, right? And this is what a man is supposed to do for his wife and for his children and for anybody around him that are willing to accept the doctrine of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. But let's keep going.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahushua saith unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither.
So she said, give me the water, or give me some of the water, right? And he said, what? Go call your husband. So many times, not many times, anytime that a sister will ask me personally, I can't speak for other brothers, but anytime that a sister will ask me personally for a breakdown of something or for counseling or advice, etc., the first thing I'll ask is, okay, well, are you married? If she's married, then I say, okay, ask your husband to be a part of it, or I could talk to him. If he says no, then you have to get permission to get counseling, just out of respect for the husband, right? So he's telling her, go get your husband and come, right? So obviously it's not talking about physical water. He wouldn't need the husband to give her the physical water. It's to start breaking down scriptures and things of that nature for her. But go ahead.
The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahushua said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband.
So she said, I don't have a husband. And he said, yeah, that's true, right? You're speaking the truth by saying you don't have a husband. Go ahead.
For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that saidest thou truly.
So he said, you have had 5 husbands, and the man that you're with right now is not your husband. So in that saidest thou truly. So by you saying you don't have a husband, that's the truth. Now, this is going to be painful for some sisters to accept or understand, right? But the thing is, anytime that you have sex, anytime you had sex in the past, that was supposed to be seen as marriage. Since the first time, you should have been married, right? As soon as a woman loses her virginity, or if a man gets with a female, it's supposed to be seen as marriage. Okay? So when he was saying this, he was saying, you've been with this many people, and the man you're with now is not your husband. So if me or this brother or another brother were to tell a woman that, the majority of them, how are they going to get out? How do you think?
They're gonna get in their feelings, gonna get vexed.
They're gonna get all in there, they're gonna get all emotional, and they're not even gonna want to hear what you have to, they're not gonna want to hear no scriptures on it, etc. Right? But let's hear what she said.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet.
So she didn't get mad, she didn't get upset. She said, man, I can tell you're actually a prophet. He just said you've been with 5 different dudes, and now you're with another dude, and he's not even your husband. And she didn't get upset. She said, I can see that you are a prophet, right? So she's showing humility is what she's doing. So let's go ahead and go to John 7:38. That's what I quoted a minute ago. And there's a comment. Casey Walker, shalom. Coming into this truth, I was with a worldly man and I left and joined with a godly man. And almost a year together, he joined a camp and they told him we have to split because it's adultery. A bit confused, as you stated, because we were exposed to a lot of different doctrines, need advice. So are you still with the man? I'll have to ask you that first. Are you still married to him? I'm going to go ahead and read this scripture while you answer. Go ahead.
This is John chapter 7, verse 38. He that believeth on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water.
So out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. This is what a real man of the Most High is going to do. Rivers of living water are going to come forth out of his mouth. In other words, he is going to water and cleanse his marriage and his household, his wife or wives daily, right? He is going to study and you know what? Not to get into too much detail, but let's put it this way. I've talked to many sisters over the years that claim to be with a man, or they're with a man that claims to be in the truth, but the man doesn't teach them, or he rarely teaches them, or he goes out and hangs out with his camp congregation and teaches with them, but then is lacking in the household, right? And in reality, if you want to get 1 Timothy 5:8 real quick, 1 Timothy 5:8. In reality, there's no, if let's put it this way, if you're a brother, right, or if you're with a man that is in a camp or congregation and they're out teaching the word and they don't teach you, then he's worse than somebody who's not even in the truth, because he's lacking in his first duty as a head of his household. So go ahead, Ak.
But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
So an infidel, you're worse than somebody who doesn't even believe, right? If you're not providing for your own household as a man. So that's something to take into account for men and for women as well, because our job, again, like we just read in John 7:38. If you want to get Ephesians, the 5th chapter out, it says a man that believes on Yahushai, believes on Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, the Most High, and his Son, our Messiah, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. Now, the problem is with single sisters, right, is there's many brothers that know the truth, okay, that know of the truth, or maybe they know certain pieces of the truth and they teach it. So they're pouring out waters, maybe not necessarily living waters, not all of it at least, because a lot of brothers, let's just put it this way, they're good in certain areas, but then they're lacking in certain areas and they still teach the areas that they're lacking in, right? So in that case, it's not living waters, it's just waters, it's doctrine, right? Some type of doctrine. And then females get submerged and start drowning in this doctrine, right? But go ahead and start on verse 22.
This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto Yahweh.
Go ahead.
For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Yahushua is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body.
So the husband's the head of the wife, just like Yahushua, Hamashiach, or Christ is the head of the church. So making the comparison, the husband is to the wife as Christ is to the church. Go ahead.
Therefore, as the church is subject unto Yahushua, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
So just like the church is supposed to be subject or be under Yahushua, which in reality, that's the word, because he's the word in the flesh, right? We should be subject to Yahushua. The wives are supposed to be like that to their husbands as well. And of course, as long as it lines up with the word. If your husband tells you, go steal me this, go kill somebody for me, of course, the Most High and Yahushua have a higher authority, right? But go ahead.
Husbands, love your wives, even as Yahushua also loved the church and gave himself for it.
So a husband is supposed to do this, right? And this is why it's so important for women to be married, especially in these last days. But all throughout the scriptures, you see it, right? When the women were in captivity in Jeremiah, it said they would cry out of shame and reproach because they didn't have husbands, right? And all throughout the scriptures, you'll see this consistent spirit of shame and reproach of women that are in the truth or in the spirit, that are Israelite women when they didn't have husbands. Because if a man is a man of the Lord, it's going to be like this: husbands, love your wives, even as Yahushua loved the church and gave himself for it, right? A husband is supposed to love your wife. How do you love your wife? By correcting her, by teaching her, by watering her daily, like we're going to read in the next verse. Go ahead.
That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
Now, a lot of camps teach that this is talking about baptism, but washing, sanctifying, and cleansing in the Greek are all different words from baptizo, which is baptism, or baptiza, or baptisma in the Greek. It's all different, right? So this isn't talking about baptism. This is actually talking about sanctifying and cleansing a woman. Let's say a woman is going through some type of emotional problem. So if the husband loves her, he is going to wash her with the word, right? In other words, he's going to give her the precepts. He's going to dwell with her according to knowledge. If you want to get that in 1 Peter 3:7, he is going to dwell with her according to knowledge. Okay, you're going through this. I got these verses right here. Come on, sit down. We're going to study. And then he's going to help her through whatever she's going through, right? She's upset with let's say her mom or somebody in her family tells her something she doesn't like, and now she's getting out the spirit and she's getting upset and she's going off. Then you're going to look, sit down, take some breaths, right? Deep breath, salah, think about it, cleanse your mind real quick. I'm going to show you some scriptures. We're going to go over them, and he's going to help her get out of it, right? You have to help cleanse your woman by the washing of water by the word, right? Missy one, shalom, sis. So Casey Walker, no. Okay, so you're not with him anymore. I slept with the worldly after being told sex was marriage and that he was already my husband, even if he was not serving the Lord. So I was a bit confused. So have you been baptized in the truth? That would be my next question. But go ahead and read that out.
This is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered.
So husbands are supposed to dwell with the women, their wives according to knowledge, right? Meaning according to the scriptures. So this is something that I always tell sisters. One of the very first thing that you really got to tell the sister, if she's single or if she's thinking of courting or if she is courting, if you're a woman in the truth, you cannot even think, you shouldn't even be thinking about courting a man that cannot dwell with you according to knowledge. Meaning if he cannot teach you the scriptures, right? Because what's the whole purpose of being with a man? We just read in Ephesians, the 5th chapter, is so that he can water you with what? With the word. So it's so that he can lead you in righteousness. So if a man can't do that yet, there's no point in even giving him the time of day, to be honest with you. If a man's not in the truth, then there's no point in you even trying to court with him. Shalom, sis. Sharaban Yam. Hope all is well with you. They say, Salakia, they say, now I have to stay by myself. I can't have no husband until the worldly man dies. Khan. So, I can pretty much tell this, you don't have to say what camp this is from, right? That gave you this advice, but I guarantee you they don't believe in water baptism. Is that correct? Natasha, shalom, sis. Hope all is well with you. So when it comes to, again, one more time, if you want to read 1 Peter 3:7 one more time.
Khan. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
So as the man, you have to know the woman is the weaker vessel. No sister, even in the truth, is perfect, right? But like I was just telling the sister earlier today, she was asking me, I forgot how exactly she worded it, but she asked basically, how I knew that my wife that should be my wife, right? Something to that effect. And I told her at that time, we had already been together for years. Then we started learning of the truth. But the real indicator that I knew she was gonna be a good wife, and I tell brothers this all the time, the number one thing to look for in a woman is if she has a teachable or moldable spirit. Because if she can learn, you could take a sister that just came into the truth 2 weeks ago, a month ago, a couple months ago, whatever the case may be, and she could be better off than a sister that's known of the truth for 10 years. Because if the sister that's known for 10 years, and what if she learned a bunch of false doctrine, right? What if she was drowning in the water for a period of time, and she has all these different doctrines, right? She believes in contradictory doctrines to each other. So you try to reteach her, and then she gets prideful. No, well, I learned it this way or that way or whatever the case may be, right? And I've heard this many times. So just being moldable is a beautiful thing, right? But as a man, that's something to look for in a woman. As a woman, that's something to strive for, to be like. You have to be able to learn, like I said in 1 Corinthians 14:35, it says, and if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home. For it is a shame for women to speak in the church. So that's another problem, is that you have sisters in the truth, and this happens to me all the time. This is why I consistently post every couple months. I have to post the same post. I have it saved in my posts. Okay. It says, if you're married, don't ask me for advice unless you ask your husband to be a part of it or ask him for permission first. Because there's always at least one sister in my inbox asking for advice and all of these things. And this scripture specifically says it is a shame for women to speak in the church. Isn't it shaming your husband if you're married and he's so-called in the truth, but then you're asking another man for advice on the scriptures? That's a shame to you, and that's a huge shame to your husband, right? And that should be a motivator to brothers, that you don't want to put your woman in that position, right? Hopefully she's wise enough to know not to put you in that position, but sometimes brothers do it to themselves, right? So if you want to read 1 Corinthians 14:35 real quick.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 35. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church.
So jump up to 33, verse 33.
Verse 33 says, for Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints.
So isn't it confusion if a woman's supposed to learn at home, but then she's over here asking brothers about the scriptures? That's a lot of confusion. And it's crazy because when I was in me and my rib, actually, when we first started dating, we were in the apostolic church. All right. And a lot of the women at the time, I didn't realize it, right? But now being in the truth, I can see it very clearly that a lot of the women in the church would idolize the pastor. Because if the pastor says something, they're going to listen to what he says. And if the husband says something else, no, well, pastor said this, right? But the pastor is not your head. So when it comes to being single, we have to understand that whoever your head is, that is supposed to be your teacher. So if a man cannot teach you, then what is the purpose of marrying him? If you're sincere in the truth. If you're not sincerely trying to follow the Bible, then of course you can marry whoever you want, right? That's not gonna matter. But if you're sincerely trying to follow the Most High, there's an order that he set up. If you want to get that in 11:3. There's an order that he set up. And if you're not following that order, then your whole life spiritually is going to be out of order.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Yahweh Shai, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Yahweh Shai is Yahweh.
So the man is supposed to be the head of the household, obviously, right? You have Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, the man, the woman, the children. So now as long as the man isn't going against his heads, right? By saying, okay, like I gave the example earlier, okay, talking to my rib, okay, go steal this from me. We need blah, blah, blah. Well, no, his head is higher, right? That would be like if you work at Walmart and your shift manager tells you, go clean out the freezers. And then the store manager comes in and he says, no, you know what? Come talk to me. You're going to talk to the one in higher position. You're going to listen to them, right? Or if the owner of the store, the Most High, Yahweh, says this in his word, and your husband says something contrary to that, that's the only time that you would be able to go against what he says, right? But the problem is, if you want to get Jeremiah 2:13, Jeremiah 2:13. The problem is most people have forsaken the living waters. Most people have, they don't want to follow what the Bible says. Even people that claim to be in the truth, right? If the Bible says something that they like or that they think is easy to do, then they'll do it. But if it's something that's hard to do, well, they're either just not going to do it, or they'll talk to themselves. They'll try to self-talk themselves. Well, you know, maybe when the time is right, maybe after this stuff falls into place, this worldly situation falls in, then I'll start following it. Or maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next month. Maybe I'll start doing the feast days next year, which that's completely prideful, because the Most High doesn't promise you tomorrow, right? He could kill you today, or he could put your light out today. And then you don't even, after that, you have no understanding. But go ahead.
This is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 13. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hold them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water.
So the two evils that our people have committed, right? And let's just talk about this more pertaining to the single women, or just women in general, right? It says they have forsaken me, the fountains of living water. So we just read in 1 Corinthians 11:3, right? And if you read in Corinthians as well, 14 and 40, it says, let all things be done decently and in order. So we just read the order that the Most High set up himself for us to follow. And that is Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, the man and the woman. But many people have forsaken this order, right? It says they have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. That means you can't even hold the doctrine. You can't even understand what it is. And think about it this way. It's like I was saying on the last slide. You can hear something, but the majority of the time for people, it goes in one ear, not the other, right? So that can hold no water. In order to hold it, you have to start living it out. Go ahead and jump to verse 33.
Verse 33 says, why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways.
So it says, why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Another big problem is single women, and men do this as well. I've seen many brothers do this, or so-called brothers do this, right? But women will trim off some of these precepts, trim off some of the laws to try and seek love, right? Whether it be dressing lasciviously, getting a worldly man, whatever the case may be, right? And this is something, again, that it is truly, truly forsaking the fountain of living waters. When you want to be halfway in and halfway out, right? And the sister said, no, not with water, they don't. So I would say go back to, I did a couple lives or lessons on water baptism. Actually, we'll get two precepts for you real quick, sister. If you want to get Acts 2 and 38, and I'll get 2 Corinthians.
Acts chapter 2, verse 38 says, then Peter said unto them, repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Yahweh Shai for the remission of sins, and ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost.
So the scriptures talk very clearly about being baptized. And when you look into it in the actual Greek, which it was originally written in, it means physical water baptism. And the reason why you do it is for remission of sins, meaning the sins are blotted out as if they were never committed. Okay, so actually, if you want to get 2 Corinthians 5:17, and I'll get Romans real quick. So a lot of people don't believe in water baptism, right? As you said, and I'm sure maybe you have gotten advice. I could be wrong, but the majority of sisters that say this is because they come from some of the bigger camps, or they got advice from the bigger camps that don't believe in water baptism for remission of sins. So I would ask you that, do you believe in water baptism, or have you ever gotten water baptism or baptism in general broken down for you to understand? So go ahead.
2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Therefore, if any man be in Yahweh Shai, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new.
Read the first part one more time.
Therefore, if any man be in Yahweh Shai.
So if any man is in Yahweh Shai, right, they become a new creature. All things become new. So what does it mean to be in Yahweh Shai? This is Romans chapter 6 and verse 3. It said, know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Yahweh Shai were baptized into his death? Meaning when you get baptized through the power of the Most High in Yahweh Shai's name, you get remission of sins, like it said in Acts 2:38. Then you become a new creature because you are baptized into his death, meaning the old you has died and you are a new person, a new creature. All things become new. So at that point, you become new. And if you are not married at that point, you are now free from any sins according to the scriptures, meaning that you are able to get married again, which through the Spirit, that's funny because I was going to make a post earlier or yesterday actually, and you just reminded me. I'll make it again. And it was basically just saying any woman that has had sex and is not married at this point in time needs to get baptized before getting married, right? And it's the same thing. The brothers that I congregate or talk with the most is from the Church of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So if you want to look up their page, they have some good edifying videos. The Church of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And I believe they did a video the other day. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I just remember the first couple minutes, the brother was saying he was going in on partially that topic. And he just said, any man, if you're going to get married to a woman, she needs to get baptized. She needs to get baptized because on average, and he didn't say this, but on average, a woman nowadays, depending on her age, has already slept with a handful of men. For a lot of women, it's way more. There's some women that it's less, right? But either way, if sex is seen, or if sex is supposed to be seen as marriage, then any woman needs to get baptized, and a man too needs to be baptized before looking into marriage and even getting into the whole courting process, right? But getting back to the topic at hand, let's go ahead and go to let me see, Sirach 26. Sirach 26. So this is a scripture me and the brother Jomar were talking about the last time. I believe we may have started with this. And this is a really spiritual verse. It's gonna sound horrible when you think about it physically, but when you think about it spiritually, it's completely on point. Go ahead.
What verse?
26 and 12.
This is Sirach chapter 26, verse 12. She will open her mouth as a thirsty travailer. When he hath found a fountain and drink of every water near her by every hedge, will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow.
So let's break this down slowly. Go ahead.
She will open her mouth as a thirsty travailer.
Go ahead.
When he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her.
So she will open her mouth. So he's reading the 1611. So it says in the King's, the regular English, it says traveler, right? She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when she hath found a fountain and drink of every water near her. So you can look at this physically, sexually, or you could look at this spiritually, which we're going to do that first. Spiritually, women are dehydrated, like I said. They have a zeal for the Most High, but not according to knowledge, like it says in Romans, the 1st chapter, right? They have a zeal to learn more about the Most High, okay? And because of that, they are thirsty, like it says here, a thirsty traveler, and they will drink any type of water that's available. So you watch this brother's video, you watch this camp's video, you watch that congregation's video, and you're just seeking the living waters without knowing him. Sometimes you don't even know it. You're seeking answers, but now you're more confused, right? Go ahead.
By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow.
So by every hedge she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow. So when you look at a quiver and an arrow is like what you shoot out of a bow and arrow, right? The quiver is what holds the arrow. So when you think about it physically, it's saying she's going to open her legs up to any man's rod. That's what it's basically saying. Okay? And to be perfectly fair with sisters, right? If you want to get 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, to be perfectly fair with sisters, as the weaker vessel, I definitely understand how this can happen when you're in a vulnerable position, right? Because a lot of women come into the truth, right? And they have the spirit of seeking ahead. Some women, right, that don't want to be single. And men, a lot of men that are so-called in the truth are really just wolves in sheep's clothing, right? They're snakes, but they don't look like snakes. And they're very good at talking to women, just like they're basically men in the world, but they got on fringes. So this is going to explain we're going to read through it real quickly. 2 Timothy 3:1.
Con. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come.
So we're in the last days. Go ahead.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves.
Covetous.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy.
So men are going to be lovers of themselves. And like, just like in the world, we know what all men want in the world, it's sex. A lot of men that are so-called in the truth, they still want the same things. They're lovers of themselves. They are covetous. They would love to covet any woman, right? They're boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, disobedient to the Most High. They're unthankful for what they already have. They're unholy. Go ahead.
Without natural affection.
They don't have no natural affection. They don't care if they hurt your feelings. Okay, go ahead.
Truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent.
Incontinent means that you can't control yourself, and especially sexually. Okay, so a lot of sisters are like this, but a lot of so-called brothers in the truth are like that too. Go ahead.
Fierce, despisers of those that are good.
So they may act like they are so-called in the truth, but they actually despise those that are good, and they will use women for what they want to use them for. Go ahead.
Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh.
So they can say the Most High this, the Most High that, but they're really traitors against the Most High. They're really high-minded. In other words, they only think of themselves. They hold themselves up high. They are lovers of pleasure more than lovers of the Most High. So women are like that too, of course, but I'm speaking specifically because I've talked to many sisters that this has happened to. So-called men in the truth, and then they lay with them and they leave them. Go ahead.
Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away.
So they have a form of godliness. Maybe they know a few scriptures. Maybe they wear fringes. Maybe they'll tell you you're an Israelite, etc. But they deny that power, and you should turn away from them. Go ahead.
For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts.
So what do these types of men do? They are the type which creep into houses and lead captive, silly women laden with sins. So they're going to sleep with women, silly women, right? Not my words, the Most High's words. Silly women, because they'll just believe anything, laden with sins, and they're just adding more sins, more problems to this woman, right? And then it says, led away with diverse lusts. And the only reason, and this is why I said on the, what was it, on Thursday we did the other live? A lot of men only want to counsel you because they want to get inside your, oh, not in your pants, in your dress or skirt. There you go. Right? So you have to be very careful with this. Go ahead.
Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
And they can never come to the full knowledge of the truth because they're led away with diverse lusts, the man and the woman, right? But as a woman, as the weaker vessel, I can, like I said, I can understand how it happens. And I've been saying this a lot. It's understandable, but it's not acceptable, right? It's not acceptable. So we're gonna go back to Sirach 26. But the sister said, no, they say baptism is of the word, but nothing is wrong with water also. Is that how you be born of the water, the spirit, and blood? So like I said in John, I believe it's 3 and 5, you have to be reborn in the water and the spirit, right? I was asking them if Christ did it as an example, we should too, and he had no sin. Confused is correct. So and you know what? It's crazy that you're saying that because there's multiple sisters and brothers as well, but just speaking because you're a sister, that have said the exact same thing. Like they told me that I can, but I don't have to, which is exactly what the Pharisees said back in the days. Yahushua asked them, is the water baptism of the Most High or of John, right? Is it of man or is it of the Most High? And they said, we cannot tell. That's what people that have that same stance, that's what they're basically saying. We can't tell, right? But if he's the perfect example, then you should do it as well. And if they say, like you said, nothing is wrong with water, so what is the purpose of it then? Right? If the scriptures say that it's for remission of sins, meaning your old sins get blotted out and you become new, but then you have certain camps or congregations teaching you can, but you don't have to. Like that doesn't make any sense if you think about it. It's like you can get your sins wiped away if you want to, right? That makes no sense. And that's going to lead to confusion, like you said right there, right? But if you want to read 26 and 12 one more time.
This is Sirach chapter 26, verse 12. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow.
So in the GNT, it says she'll spread her legs anywhere for any man who wants her, just as a thirsty traveler will drink whatever water is available. Right? So that's what a lot of women do. I noticed some sister or some sis in the truth dress lustful. Yeah, they're not in the truth though, right? They play like they're in the truth, but it's like agents. They're agents of Satan, right?
Jezebels.
So the thing is, we have to remember, whether it be brothers or sisters, that Satan comes as an angel of light, right? So it could look real good on the outside, whether it be lustfully dressed or whether it be dressed modestly. But what really matters is the inner man and is the spirit, right? Salaki, I clicked on the wrong comment. I noticed some sisters in the truth dress lustfully. And that means they know the truth, they're not in the truth.
I actually had one follow me the other week, and she had a cleavage all out in her profile picture. I didn't even follow her.
And that's gonna happen. That's Satan trying to get to you, right? But that's always a good sign. We got to take it as a good sign. So if you want to read Sirach 36 and 25. 36 and 25. So the last verse we read, and this is pertaining to the whole drowning, right? Sisters that are learning from all these different brothers. This verse says, 26 and 12 says, she'll spread her legs anywhere for any man who wants her. That's talking about the physical. Then it says, just as a thirsty traveler will drink whatever water is available. So that's what sisters are doing spiritually. And again, that is understandable, but it's going to lead to so much confusion. Mm-hmm. As I'm sure many of y'all have seen or maybe even experienced, but speaking from personal experience, this happens very often. So when it says, by every hedge will she sit down. By every hedge will she sit down. So why, we have to understand why women do this. Why do they want to learn from all these different people? Okay, so go ahead and read that out.
This is Sirach chapter 36, verse 25. It says, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled, and he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning.
Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. So what is the hedge and what is the possession? The possession is the woman, right? He that getteth the wife. Salaki, let me pull it up real quick. If you wanna read verse 24, actually.
Verse 24 says, he that getteth the wife beginneth the possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest.
So he that gets a wife begins a possession. Now, every time I bring out this scripture, there's always one sister that I'm not no possession, nobody owns me, etc. But what you have to understand is that as a possession of a man that lives by the scriptures, a man that has wisdom knows how to possess something, right? If you have a car and you take care of it, it's because you know how to possess it, right? And now this isn't saying possessing as in like, oh, she's my doormat and I could walk all over her. That's not what it's saying. What it means is he is going to treat you in the way that a man is supposed to treat a possession, a very highly prized possession. So go ahead and read it one more time.
This is verse 24 through 25. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled, and he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning.
So he that gets a possession, or he that getteth a wife, beginneth a possession. Verse 25 says, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. Right? So going back to Sirach 26 and 12, it says, by every hedge will she sit down. A hedge represents protection. Okay? A hedge represents protection. It's like in the book of Jonah, when the Most High made the little hedge over him to protect him from the sun.
The gourd, yeah.
Right, the gourd, which is like a vertical hedge, basically. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the hedge represents protection. It represents the husband, right? So in verse or chapter 26 and 15, where it says, or Salakia 26 and 12, where it says she will sit down by every hedge, it's meaning she wants some type of hedge, some type of protection, right? So as a woman, you have to understand that that's how the Most High hardwired women. If you want to get Genesis 3:16, the Most High actually hardwired women to want to have a hedge, to want to have protection, to want to be ruled over in righteousness, as in being taught, being led, being provided for. And then she, in turn, fills in all of the positions that the man is lacking in, right? She's more of the nurturer. She's more of the teacher to her children. She's more of the one who builds up her household, as in teaching the children, cooking, doing all the things that the man is not as good at. Go ahead.
This is Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
So in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, at the beginning of the Bible, it says that a woman's desire is to a man, and not to a man, right? To a husband, for him to rule over her. Now, does that mean for him to be like a slave master? That's not what it means. And a lot of brothers will teach that. There's certain brothers from certain camp. What's that camp? ISUPK. I've seen back when I had Facebook years ago, and he had posted a picture of his wife, him and his wife, and he literally put in the caption, "My bitch does what I tell her to."
Be not a lion in the household.
And guess what? It had like 100 likes on it, or loves, or hearts, or whatever you want to call it, right? So that's not what it means when it says to rule over you. But a man that doesn't dwell with a woman according to knowledge and according to wisdom can trick a woman into thinking that, right? Because we know that a lot of people use the scriptures to their own benefit, right? And if you actually want to get Isaiah 28 and 13, I already brought this verse out like the last maybe 2-3 lives. We're going to bring it out one more time. The brother said they be wearing tight dresses that shows a lot. I followed. I hope you mean you unfollowed. Right. I hope you mean you unfollowed. But Khan, I've seen it, and I've corrected certain women on that as well. But I was just like, you know what? I'm unfollowing this as well. Psalm 101:3 says not to set any wicked thing before your eyes, because it can cleave to you. So just seeing stuff like that can make a spirit of lust cleave to you. Right? But go ahead.
This is Isaiah chapter 28, verse 13. But the word of Yahweh was unto them, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken.
So certain men do this. They'll pull a precept here, they'll pull a precept there. They'll show you this line here, this line there. But in reality, it's for you to fall backwards. It's for you to become broken. It's for you to become snared and taken, right? And a lot of times it's for you to be taken as a wife, right? They're going to tell you all these verses. And there was a woman that messaged me probably about a month ago. And she said that there was some brother from some certain congregation that told her she had to, he was like he called himself a priest elder or something like that. I had never heard of him before until then. And he said that she had to be his concubine, or the Most High, or he asked her to be the concubine. And then she said, what's that? And he started explaining. And she said she didn't know. And he basically told her that the Most High was going to deal with her and was going to kill her if he didn't become her concubine. So now the majority of sisters have more common sense than Salakia, but this is the truth. More common sense than this woman had, because she literally reached out to me and said, is this true? He said, I'm going to be put to death if I don't become his concubine, etc. So there are women like this that are they're the weaker vessel, right? And I know it may sound kind of funny to some people, but there are women like this that sincerely want to follow the word, but they don't have nobody to teach them, and they've never been taught correctly. And they're just going to fall for anything like this. And I've known other sisters that even worse things have happened to them by falling into what men say, right? Far worse than that.
Salakia, and just to throw this in there, you got to be mindful too. The devil knows precepts as well, so you got to be mindful of that.
Khan. And the sister Casey Walker, she said, Khan, that's your whole purpose of us women, to help to be ruled over.
In righteousness.
Khan, in righteousness. So all praise to the Most High for you even saying that, because the majority of women do not want to hear that. But if you want to get Genesis 2:18 as well. The majority of women will not, they'll say, whether it be Christian women or whether it be so-called women, so-called in the truth, they do not want to believe that. And if they do say they believe it, they are not going to act it out, though. They're not going to play their role. They may say, Khan, that's so true, sister. Our whole purpose is for us to be a helpmeet. We're supposed to be ruled over. We need a husband. Okay, well then where's your husband? Most women that I've personally heard that from don't have husbands. But go ahead.
This is Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And Yahweh said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him.
So that was the whole purpose for women to be made, to be a helpmeet to the husband, right? And most women, let's go back to Sirach 26. Most women would rather be counted as spit than to be counted wise in the Most High's eyes, right? And the scriptures say that specifically. Most women would rather be counted as spit than be counted wise in the Most High's eyes. So if you want to start on chapter 20 or verse 22, Salakia.
A harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband.
A harlot is counted like spit, okay? And a harlot, when you really think about it, me and a brother were talking about this not too long ago, and it's funny, but it's not funny. Y'all know what I mean when I say it's funny, right? Because in the scriptures, it specifically says that a harlot's hire, in other words, her pay, is a loaf of bread. Okay, a loaf of bread. So nowadays, women are harlots and they don't even know it. Because this is what happens. Oh, hey, girl, whatever. You hit up a worldly man, right? Not me or this brother, but a worldly man will hit up a woman on Facebook, on Instagram, on Moco Space or whatever they are, right? Whatever the case, MySpace. I'm old school. I'm old school.
I don't even think MySpace up.
Right? Whatever social media it is. And they say, hey, can I take you out to eat? That is your hire, that is your wage. And then they go and sleep with the man. So that technically, according to the scriptures, that's a harlot. The fee for a harlot in the scriptures is a loaf of bread. And if a man pays for you to get some food and then you go sleep with him, by description, by definition, you're actually a harlot. But go.
See, they don't want to hear that though. They don't like hearing that.
Khan, they don't. But it's the truth according to the scriptures. So go ahead and read it one more time.
Khan, a harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband.
So what do you think that means, Art? A tower against death to her husband?
That means that a married woman is a woman who can prevent her husband from spiritually dying and physically dying.
Khan.
Very rare to find those these days.
Khan, for sure. Very rare.
It's like finding a ruby. When the last time you seen a real ruby?
I ain't never seen a real ruby.
Khan.
Right. If you want to get hold that and go to Proverbs 6 and 26 real quick. So a woman of the Most High, right? A married woman that actually follows the scriptures is a tower against death to her husband. Just like the brother said, she's going to keep you from sinning. And my Riv has done this before. She has helped me. And the one example that I've given multiple times is certain times where thinking of courting another woman, and my Rib will see something that maybe I don't see, or she'll talk to the woman, and then, oh, well, she said this though, and it leads to something else, or it has led to, you know what? No, that is not a good situation to put ourselves in. And that is a tower against death, right? But go ahead and read that out.
This is Proverbs chapter 6, verse 26. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life.
Calm. So a woman, right, that that is a harlot. Let's put it that way, right? That is a harlot, like it says in 26 and 22. A harlot shall be accounted as spittle. This is the type of woman that is going to make a man no longer worth gold. She's going to make him worth nothing. And this has happened to many brothers that I used to teach with. Okay, this has happened to them. So as a woman, you have to understand, if you do this to a man, then there's blood on your hands. Let's put it that way. Not only for you, but also for the man. And then a man that does this to a woman, obviously, there's blood on his hands as well. Right? But let's go ahead and go back to 22. And if you want to read 22 and 23.
Sirach chapter 26, verse 22 through 23. A harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth Yahweh.
So in the end, and this is a very hard pill to swallow, right? For many brothers and sisters that I've given counsel to over the years, in the end, if as a woman, if you're single and you end up with a man and he ends up wicked, it's because you're wicked. And in the end, if you're a man that's a mighty man of the Most High and you end up with a wicked woman, it's because you're a wicked man. And many times this is what happens. And what do we just we read it, I don't know how many times on the last live about being hasty.
Be not hasty and not deeds, slacking remiss.
So a lot of times women that are single, right, whether they're drowning in doctrine or whether they're dehydrated, right, women that actually want a husband, they are too hasty to credit them. And they just, okay, you know what? I'm going to give it up to him. They have sex, they get married, and then either the man leaves or he stays and he's not doing what he's supposed to do.
He who is hasty to give credit is light-minded.
Light-minded. So you can't be light-minded when you're single. But it is the right spirit to be in, to want somebody to pour into you, to want somebody that can pour into you and that can dwell with you according to knowledge and wisdom and can cleanse you with the water, right? Because that is the spirit of a woman. And if a woman's going to learn anything, she should learn from her husband at home anyway, right? But go ahead and jump down to 25.
A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefast, she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh.
So we all know what a female dog is. A shameless woman is going to be counted as one, right? But she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh. So being shamefaced and being modest go hand in hand. And like the brother was saying earlier, Kingdom Minded 144K, he said, I noticed that some sisters, we won't even call them sisters, right? They're not sisters. Some women in the truth dress lustful, right? They be wearing tight dresses that shows a lot. And all of that should be covered up. And the only person that should be seeing that is their husband, right? And another thing, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but lately, oh man, I had to unfollow. I'm probably following like at most 20 sisters, and I know none of them are married or nothing like that, right?
I really only follow the woman that I'm courting, and she just deleted her Instagram. So
there you go. And that's just because, like, if I talk to them, have a relationship, like if I counsel them or something like that, and I want to see how they're doing. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why. For a long time, I was following like 10 people. I'm up to like maybe 100 and something. But the point is, I had to unfollow a lot of them because this is what they'll do. They got a skirt or a dress on, but it's low cut. But look, hey, at least I'm not gonna show my cleavage, right? Let me put an emoji over my cleavage. That makes no sense to me. That's like the definition of double-minded.
Definition of a harlot.
So on social media, I'm gonna cover up, but in real life, I'm gonna have my cleavage out. How does that make sense? Right. So go ahead and read it one more time.
A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh.
So this is something that a brother was saying, and y'all might think that this is kind of explicit, but the way he said it was, I'll tell you, it was 10 times worse, right? I'm gonna give y'all the PG-13 version. He said, a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, right? So a woman that doesn't have shame is going to be showing off her body, right? And this really isn't any laughing matter when you think about it. He was saying a shameless woman in Jacob's trouble is going to be counted as a dog. How? Have you ever seen a dog in the street, a female dog that's in heat, and a whole bunch, I've seen a whole neighborhood of dogs just chasing after her and hopping up on her and doing what they want to do to her, right? In Jacob's trouble, a shameless woman is going to be just like that dog. You're going to have all types of crazy spirits on men, and maybe even on women. Got these big old bull dykes and stuff like that.
Trains and stuff.
They're going to be doing some nasty things to shameless women and even to some men, right? Because your fears are going to come upon you. So a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog. You have to understand, as a woman, you have to be modest, because, man, you are putting a target on your back if not. But go ahead and jump down to verse 20, or keep going on 26, actually.
A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all.
So like I said a little while ago, if a harlot is counted as spit, right, that's like nothing. Imagine you just spit on the floor. You don't care about your spit. You ain't never going to see it again. You have no care in the world for it, right? But a woman that honors her husband is going to be judged wise of all. So I've said this many times, but many sisters, or not even sisters, the majority of women, especially the ones that are lost in the world, which is the third type, right? Which we don't even have to get into too much detail on that, because you know the type, right? The independent woman, I can do it on my own. Feminist, yes. Femilites. Feminist Israelites. I don't need no man. I can do it on my own.
Girl summer.
That exactly, exactly. That type of woman, that's the third type, right? And that's a large amount of women that fall under that category, right? So these women literally don't want the opportunity to be judged wise of all. Because if the Most High says a woman that honors her husband shall be judged wise of all, and if you don't want to be married, right, or if you're not seeking to be married, then you don't want to be considered wise of all. Which the reason why it says this is because the order that we read earlier. A woman's head is supposed to be her husband. In Ephesians, the 5th chapter, it says that a woman is supposed to obey her husband as unto the Lord. Meaning that you, just by obeying and being honoring your husband, you are honoring the Most High by doing that, because that's his job that he gave you, right? Casey Walker, my experience thus far, our women need to be guided righteously by a man. Sad to say, the ones without guidance ain't doing too well. And that's the truth, and that's from a woman. So you can't, if you want to get mad, you can't. Yeah, exactly. A lot of sisters, or women in general, I won't say sisters, a lot of women want to get mad at me or other brothers just because we're men. Well, you're a man, so you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. I may not understand your exact feelings, right? But I can understand what the word of the Most High says. And the word of the Most High says exactly what this sister says. She said that the ones without guidance aren't doing too well. I agree with that 100%, because I've counseled with hundreds and hundreds of sisters over the past 4 to 5 years, and the single ones, the majority of them are not doing well at all. They are either drowning in different doctrines, or they're dehydrated, or they're to the point where they're just like, you know what, I'm just done with men, right? And the reason for that, the majority of the times, me and the brother were talking about this earlier, actually. The reason for that most of the time is because the men that they've dealt with before, they weren't men of the Most High. So they use whatever traumatizing or bad experiences that they had before with other men which in reality it's their fault. They have a poor choice in choosing men, right? And then they take that poor choice and that traumatization and they project it onto all men, right? And now all men are bad or no men can help them, right? And that's not the case because the scriptures say that a faithful friend is the medicine of life. The scriptures say in Wisdom of Solomon 16 and 12 that the Most High's word can heal anything. So if you have a man, like the sister said, right, that can guide you righteously through with the word, then according to the word, you can be healed with those words. But the problem is women choose men that can't do that. So then, of course, they're not going to be able to help you heal because they don't have the word that heals all things, right? If you want to, you can actually, let's see. You know what? Yeah, let's go over that real quick. If we go to Genesis 34, right? Genesis 34. And just to real quick, another thing that comes up a lot with certain sisters, and this may not be you. Everything that I say, right, is a if the shoe fits, wear it situation, right? If this doesn't pertain to you, then okay, don't take offense to it. What did you say the other day about a dog that gets hit?
Like his dog always holler.
Exactly. So the truth hurts, right? The word cuts into people's spirit. If it hurts you, then it's because it pertains to you, or it pertains to someone close to you. Exactly. So if it doesn't pertain to you, then don't take offense to it. If you're taking offense to it, it's because it probably pertains to you. But go ahead and read 34 and 12.
Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife.
So back in the days, right? Back in the days, in order to marry somebody, you would pay what is called a dowry. Okay, we read in Sirach, the 36th chapter, that a woman is a possession, right? Because when you look in the Torah, let's just talk about just the old times, the days of old in the Torah, right? The days of Moses, the times of the law, you literally would buy a woman from her father. Now women, a lot of women are going to take offense to that, right?
Can't sell me.
You can't, exactly, you can't. But the reason why they were doing that, why the man was accepting a dowry for his daughter, is because their daughters were being raised similar to the way I'm raising my daughters. I have a 12 and a 13-year-old daughter, my two oldest. They can cook, they clean all the time, they do their own laundry, they can sew little things. They can't sew dresses and skirts, things of that nature just yet. But the point is, they have skills and they have value. So if, let's put it this way, if one of my daughters was going to get married, I'm literally losing a huge value to my household, right? I'm losing someone who cooks maybe one meal a day. I'm losing someone who does chores. I'm losing someone who feeds the horse and the chickens and helps water the plants and helps grow food. So it only makes sense that back in the day when all these women were like this, that the father is going to get some type of payment for, or dowry is what they call it, for the woman that he's losing from the household, because they had real value, right? And not only that, back then, just like a lot of us fathers nowadays are making sure that our daughters stay as virgins until they get married, right? So if you want to go to Exodus 22 and 16, right? So there's a lot more value in a woman that had all of these skills and was a virgin. Because back in the day, if you weren't a virgin, a man would, you were last to be chosen. Let's put it that way. If you get picked, a lot of women would end up becoming prostitutes. Even in the scriptures, it gives accounts, because they weren't virgins, right? Or because they weren't married. And look at that. We went from 10 watchers to 5, just switching to this topic, right? But go ahead.
22 and 16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
So back in the day, if a man enticed a maid, and when you look into that in the Hebrew, it was talking about a virgin. If a man entices a virgin that is not betrothed, she's not already promised to another man, and he lays with her, has sex with her, he had to make her his wife. He had to endow her. He had to pay the dowry, right? Go ahead.
If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins.
So now, if he had sex with her and the father refused that marriage, he did not want to bless it, then guess what? The man still had to pay the dowry of a virgin. In other words, he still had to make that payment because he took her flower, he took her virginity. And now it's going to be way harder, almost impossible back in those days, for the father to find a husband knowing that she is not a virgin. Because back then, when you read in certain scriptures, in Tobit is one of the most known examples, they would wait for you outside of the wedding chamber. The wedding chamber was they would get a room ready and you go and consummate the marriage, right? You go and have sex, and then when you come out, then you're married. And they would save the sheets that had blood on them to prove that she was a virgin. And the parents, the father mainly, would actually save them as proof that she was a virgin, in case later on the man could bring up charges on her. Oh, you know what? I want to divorce her because she wasn't a virgin. Well, the father would have proof, right? So we just have to understand that women, especially the types of women that don't want to get married or they're holding out. It's like what's the dude's name that just died? Kevin Samuels, right? He would say that a lot. Like, women are just holding out. What are you holding out for? Mm. They're holding out for a 6'5", 200-pound muscle money.
He gave a good example saying, if you go to the store, you know something costs $500 and you only got $250 in your pocket. You can't afford that $500. You can only afford $250 or below.
So using that example, right? Let's just put it this way. A dowry was paid for a virgin back then, right? And a lot of women, and again, if the shoe don't fit, then don't get offended. A lot of women want to act like they're virgins or act like they're the perfect woman, okay? And guess what? If you've slept with more than one man, in the eyes of the Most High, every time you slept with somebody, you're a harlot.
And an adulterer.
And an adulterer on the first man you slept with. And this is why it's very important, not even important, it is 100% necessary that you get water baptized for remission of sins so that you can become a new person and so that your sins can get blotted out and you can then get married under the Most High, right? And I'm gonna actually get the word for remission real quick. You want to go ahead and read that comment out?
She was dropping jewels right here. Casey Walker. Women are ruled by emotions. They make poor decisions based on feelings, like Eve did. So, LOL. So you're right. You need a man's righteous guidance. So you don't like that. Take it up with the Most High. Most definitely. Women do not logically think. And I mean, it's not no shade to nobody, but that's just being real. It's coming from a woman herself. Like, I don't think I've ever met a woman, despite how many women have told me they use their logic and not emotions. I mean, I could physically see that there's not a single woman who is capable of always using logic over emotion. And that's just how you was created. It's not your fault. You know, the Most High made you like that. Blame it on Eve at the end of the day. But yeah, you definitely said something right there.
And like the brother said, and like the sister said, right? Women are more ruled off of emotion, which is in reality, that's the main reason why women are not supposed to be teaching the word, right? Because I could show I could show you a precept, and even if it cuts me, or somebody shows me a precept and it cuts me in the spirit, I'm not going to start speaking against it. That's the last thing I would ever do, right? The scriptures say, speak not against the truth, but be abashed at your ignorance, right? You have to be ashamed at your ignorance when the word cuts into you and you're like, damn, the word says this and I have been doing that. But the word says that and I haven't been doing that, and I thought I was doing it right. Many times women will do this. No, well, the Most High knows my heart, and you know what? Now that I said that, I just remembered. Multiple sisters have told me this. Christ is my head.
You're not that righteous.
Christ is my husband.
Oh.
Right? Where in the scriptures does it ever say that Yahushua will be your particular husband? And what is it? Matthew 25, I believe, where it talks about the 10,
the parallel of the 10 virgins.
The 5 foolish virgins and the 5 wise ones. I've had a sister, or not a sister, a woman tell me, well, you see, it's saying that the virgins, and he's coming to marry them. The virgin is the church that he's coming back for. That is symbolic. The virgin is those that have been cleaned and have been purging out their sins and being purified, like it says in Daniel 12:10.
Because he even says in the parable of the 10 virgins how the 5 foolish ones that didn't have oil, they went to go get oil and he did not wait on them.
And you know what? That's something that following Yeshua had brought out. If you want to go to Isaiah 4:1, every feminist's favorite verse.
Oh man!
So I'm going to read this real quick. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse. I'm going to start on 27. It says, "Behold, this I have found, saith the preacher, counting one by one to find the account, which my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found." So he's looking for somebody that is righteous, right? Or that is really, really in the spirit of the Most High. It says, one man out of 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found. Now this is Solomon, and I told the brother, and I told some other brothers as well, it's not by coincidence that he said one man out of 1,000 he found, but not one woman. So Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. So what he's really saying here is not one of my women, not one of my wives was actually walking in the spirit or striving to follow the Most High, right? And going back to what this sister Casey Walker said, women are ruled by emotions. They make poor decisions based on feelings. I don't know if y'all saw the story that I posted, I think it was yesterday, how there was a man, I don't even know who he was, but he was basically saying, look at all the poor decisions that you've made in the past. They were not of logic. They were all feelings and emotions, right? Look at all the bad decisions you've made. It was never because you were following the scriptures and you were using wisdom. It was because you were emotional and you were hasty and you were, like I was talking to a sister that long story short, her and a man got into an argument. They both said some things very hastily out of emotion, and it killed the relationship. He blocked her on all social media. They're not talking no more. That's it, right? Life and death is in the power of the tongue. You can kill a relationship. You can literally get killed by saying the wrong thing, right? You could speak against the Most High, blaspheme the Holy Spirit, right? And you're done. Your light gets put out. And like we were talking about, a lot of people don't even know it.
Don't even know it.
Their light is put out and they don't even know it. So you have to be very, very careful not to make the wrong decisions based off of feelings. Another thing that always happens, you burn bridges that, let's put it this way, you burn bridges that could have helped lead you to your salvation. Right? A lot of women have done that, and a lot of men have told me about this, and I give them the same advice. Okay, the same advice. They'll say like, yeah, well, this sister was going good, blah blah blah, but you know what, I told her this, or I corrected her on that. She got real emotional and she said this, and she ended it, she cut it off. And I was like, well, that could be the Most High protecting you. Right? That could definitely be the Most High protecting you. We're going to read this verse real quick just because there's I probably heard this like from a handful of different women where they say, you know what? Once Jacob's trouble happens, then I will find me a man of the Most High.
Oh, I hate hearing that.
That's recently I've heard that from at least like a handful of women. Now you have to understand we have to do all things decently and in order, right? So let's put it this way. If you're on a boat, kind of like the example we're talking about earlier today, if you're on a boat and you get thrown into the ocean, are you now going to look for a life raft? Once you're thrown into the ocean, that would make no sense. But go ahead, Art.
Isaiah 4:1 says, "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat of our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach."
So in that day, and this is talking about the times that we're coming into right now, when you really understand these scriptures, right? Because if you actually read the last couple of verses from chapter 3, if you want to read 25 and 26.
Come. Isaiah chapter 3, 25 to 26. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. I literally put in context examples of this are your modern day Megan Thee Stallions, Cardi B's, and all the other feminist queens out here who teach women how to not be married and how to be a harlot, yet they're married.
Calm. And that's all because they work for the system and they don't want you to follow. They don't want you to be in order, right? Just put it that way. A lot of times, Satan, evil spirits, devils, whatever you want to call them, they don't have to make you literally sin. All they have to do is get you out of order and it's going to lead you to sin. So just like even the garden, right? When she was by herself, then she got tricked into sin. That's the same thing. If Satan can get you alone, then guess what? It's going to be a whole lot easier. You have no hedge, you have no protection, so it's a lot easier for him to get to you, right? And that's like we were reading in First Timothy the 5th chapter, but we'll get that right after this, right? So it says men are going to die, right? If in the NLT it says the men of the city will be killed and warriors will die in battle. The gates of Zion will weep and mourn. She will be like a ravaged woman huddled on the ground, right? And a lot of women are going to get ravaged and ravished, sadly, in Jacob's trouble.
I don't think they know what ravish means.
So ravish means raped. That's what it means.
A lot of y'all's worst fears.
Because remember, the Most High says all throughout the scriptures, Isaiah 66, it says in Proverbs, the 1st chapter, in Sirach, it says that if you don't listen to him, if you don't take his correction and reproof, your worst fears will come upon you, right? And a lot of women's worst fear is just that, right? It's to be ravished, to be raped, or to be, it could be way worse than that.
Man, prostituted, tortured, sex trafficked, all that.
Exactly. If you look at I forgot which purge it was. One of the purges where they were putting them in, it was like a circus almost. Did you see that one?
I don't know if that was the one called the first purge. I think they made it on the 4th of July, supposedly. I think. I don't know if it was that one.
I can't remember which one it was, but what they were doing was, and all these movies allude to what's going to really happen. When you really look at all these movies, what were we talking about? Book of Eli.
Book of Eli, Mad Max. If you look at I Am Legend, I, Robot, Wally, you said what is it? Big Hero.
Big Hero 6 with the nanotechnology.
Big Hero 6. If y'all ever seen that Justin Timberlake movie Time, how you got the little, like that's gonna be what they do with the credit, but that's a whole different topic. But what you were saying is real.
The movies are showing us what's actually gonna happen, because we were talking about Hollywood earlier as well. When you look at what Hollywood actually is, it's a particular type of wood that they would use for witchcraft. So as we know, like it says in James 2:19, the devils know the Bible also and tremble, right? So they use this and they give you little pieces of truth inside of all these things, right? And to go along with this verse, if you want to read it one more time about 25 and 26.
Con. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground.
So she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. So this is 2nd Ezra 16:33. It says, the virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. Right? So a lot of men are going to die. A lot of husbands are going to die, those that are not following or striving to follow the Most High. But then also, we have to understand that a lot of women, and this is something that I've told single mothers before, multiple times, posted about it, told them personally, as a single mother, especially, right? If you have children or a child, you don't want a husband, you are one of the most selfish people in the world.
And foolish.
And foolish, right? But think about it, because the Most High set up a man and a woman, because it wasn't good for a man to be alone. And of course, a woman's even worse off being alone because she's the weaker vessel. So if a man and a woman were made together to coincide, I wouldn't say cohabitate, because that's what people say, right? We're not married, we're not dating, we're just cohabitating. No, yeah. You're fornicating. That's what you're doing.
We're just entangled.
Right? We're entangled, right? But the point is, if it's not good for a man to be alone or a woman to be alone. A man is a grown boy. A woman is a grown girl. How bad is it for a child to not have a father? Mm-hmm. That's horrible. Me speaking as a man that grew up without my father in the house. I did have, an uncle that was like a father figure. I had a stepdad that really didn't teach me nothing, really wasn't there for me. But not having your father in the household affects you in more ways than you realize, right? Then for a child, for a woman especially, or for a little girl, like it says in 2nd Ezra 16:33, and if you know anything about the scriptures, 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and chapter 16, which I've done multiple lessons on it about Jacob's trouble, these chapters are speaking specifically to Jacob's trouble. So it says, their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. If you have a daughter, but you don't want a husband, that is one of the most selfish things that you could do, because like the scriptures say, a lot of women are going to get raped. A lot of women are going to get killed. A lot of women are going to, like the brother said, sex trafficked. This is already happening right now. So how much worse is it going to be in the times to come? And as a matter of fact, if you can get Isaiah, or you know what, I don't want to get off topic too much. If you want to read Isaiah 4:1 real quick.
Come. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach.
So some women try and say this. See, it says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. This is going to be in the kingdom. We don't have to, 7 women are not going to take hold of one man here in this kingdom and blah, 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 right? But if you keep reading, it says, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Why would reproach means shame? Why would a woman have shame if she's in the kingdom? You're ashamed that you made it into the kingdom? Because I've heard multiple sisters say this. This is talking about the kingdom. You don't have no understanding. Why would you have reproach in the kingdom? You're not going to be ashamed in the kingdom.
You're not going to make it into the kingdom without a husband. If you want to be real.
So only let us be called by thy name to take away their reproach. How do you be called by someone's name?
Sex.
By becoming their husband, right? But here's the thing. Going back to what I said, and I'm sure you've heard this as well, and I'm sure some of you brothers and sisters have heard this too. There's women that say, okay, well, I'll find a husband in Jacob's trouble.
No, you're not.
And in that day, so this is what I was telling you, the brother Chris had said, right? In that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. And guess what? A lot of men of the Most High are going to say, and I'm going to say it just like the brother said, bitch, let go of me, right? Because a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog. So let's put it this way. Let's say you're a shameless woman this whole time leading up to Jacob's trouble. And let's say a brother, because this has happened to many brothers that I know, that they say, okay, you know what? I'm willing to court you or willing to marry you, to provide for you, to teach you, to cover you, to be a hedge to you. And the woman's like, you know, well, let me think about it. Let me think about it. Or we'll see. Or they give excuses, right? Let's just put it that way. Like Yahushua said in Matthew chapter 5, I believe it's what, 36 or 39. He said, let your yea be yea or your nay be nay. It's either yes or no. And then he says, anything that cometh more of this cometh of evil. So in reality, you're over here trying to weigh your options. Like, okay, maybe I can save this brother as a second option or a last option, right? And I've given this advice many times. So in that day, it doesn't mean if you try to take hold of someone, you know how many women are going to be like, oh, well, you're a man of the Most High and I see you're protected and you've been preparing and you're ready for this. Can I please be your wife? And he's going to say, well, this scripture says we will eat our own bread, wear our own apparel. Do you know how to sew? Do you know how to cook from scratch? Do you have any type of skills or value to bring to the table? And the majority of women are going to say what?
I can learn.
And that is not the time to learn.
It's too late.
Jacob's trouble is the time of punishment, right? And in Proverbs, the first chapter, it says that when they start going through things, they're going to call on him early, but that early
too late
shall be too late. So as soon as for lack of a better term, as soon as the shit hits the fan, every type of woman that is that third type, that's lost in the world or that doesn't want a husband or that wants to wait till Jacob's trouble, I guarantee you they are going to be the worst off out of all of them.
Especially the lascivious ones.
Especially the lascivious ones. And I've said this before on a previous live, or I think it was the video. Did you ever see that video where the dude was trying to rape the girl in Walmart?
Yeah, man, dude had some super strength. I don't know if y'all seen that movie Legion before, but bro had some like super crackhead strength.
There was like 2 or 3 dudes trying to put him down,
and they were big boys too.
They were big, right?
Man.
And they couldn't put him down. Why? Because he had spirits on him. He had at least a few spirits on him, right? There was a brother. Who was it? No, it wasn't Azariah. Oh, Daniel Allah. I don't know if you saw in his story how he posted up how they had like the women hanging. They were like sex trafficking.
Nah, I didn't see that.
So this happens. I used to work at the largest underage immigrant holding facility at that time. It was in the United States. There was like 600 underage boys, right, that they would hold there, and so we would have to go through certain classes before working with them, because a lot of them have been through certain things, and one of the things that they specifically talk about is sex trafficking, right? So even so this is the crazy part to me, and nobody really caught it, but I guess spiritual eyes, I was able to catch it, and I started talking to people. They're like, damn, that's true. This is the largest facility. It holds 600 underage boys. So I think it was from like 7 all the way up to 17. It would hold immigrants, mostly from Guatemala, El Salvador, and that Central America area, right? But it's crazy because in this area in South Texas, it's primarily Hispanic, so-called Hispanic. There's probably 95% of the holding facilities here are all for boys. You know why? Because all of the females get kidnapped and sex trafficked. The majority of them. I only know of, at that time, there was only one. I know there's at least 2 now in this area for female only, right? For underage females. But there's probably at least 100 facilities for boys.
The danger of being single, ladies.
Exactly. And if that, the point that I'm making though is if that's happening now, and if Yahushua said in Matthew 24, it's going to be worse than any time before or after or ever shall be. Imagine how bad it's going to be once all hell breaks loose.
Can't even imagine.
you can't imagine. You can Book of Eli, you can Mad Max, all these things,
it's gonna
right?
be worse than whatever they ever depicted, man. I don't even think the people that's gonna do the dirt even know what they're gonna do yet.
And that's why, because it's like what is it in Sirach? I believe it's 34, which says there's spirits created for newly created spirits for vengeance.
Specifically for vengeance. They held in captivity and in prison right now, waiting for the day to be let loose, specifically to come and reap vengeance and cause havoc.
So newly create, it's going to be spirits that we've never seen before. It's going to be crazy types of stuff happening. And that's why in Sirach 36 and 25, it says where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. Spoiled can mean robbed. Spoiled can mean raped. Spoiled can mean, and think about it this way spiritually as well, right? When you don't have a hedge, a husband, you can be spiritually spoiled because you start believing all these false doctrines, right? All these false doctrines, and now spiritually you're spoiled because you don't know what to believe. You don't know what's true. You're following this one. I know sisters that have been like, yeah, well, I was keeping this kind of Sabbath, but now I'm trying this one out, but I don't know about it. And then, well, I was going to get baptized, but then these brothers told me I shouldn't. So now I don't know if I should. It's crazy how easily many women can be manipulated.
A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And just to bring this into context, the Bible uses the term man alive, but man is just mankind. So it's not only for males, it applies to everybody.
So being double-minded like that, again, like I always say, it's understandable as a weaker vessel, but it's unacceptable in the eyes of the Most High. So the sister Casey Walker said, most women don't want to dive into the poly topic, but the 12 tribes came from it, and even some bros too. Some of us was already in poly in the world.
And don't even know it though. Don't even know that.
And it's crazy because in the world, I don't know about y'all, but I knew many women or females in the world that knew they were getting cheated on, but they stayed with the dude.
So what that tell you?
That sounds like polygamy to me.
Tell me sweet lies.
So it's happening already. Unrighteously, women having kids with a man that's still with the baby mama, so they in poly and not understand. And think about it this way: would you rather have a man? Let's say like you gave the example, right? He has a baby mama, and he has one or two or however many children, and then would you rather him just be seeing her behind your back, or would you rather y'all work out a situation where he's providing for the whole household and pouring into y'all evenly and providing in all the ways that he should, right? It sounds, when you think using common sense, the second option sounds way more profitable. But because of feelings and emotions, like the sister said, right? Women are ruled by their emotions. They make poor decisions based on feelings. Because of your emotions, a lot of women will not even, like you said, they don't even want to dive into the polygamy topic. Which in reality, you can't, if you want to go to Revelation 3:15, in reality, there's no point in trying to follow a little part of the Bible. There's no part in being, you're basically, think about it this way. We all were, or the majority of us were Christian at one point. In Christianity, they teach you follow this part of the Bible, but don't follow that part.
It's okay to sin. Everybody get a chance in the end to plead their case.
You're saved by grace, so you can sin. Don't worry about it.
I literally heard somebody say that like last
week. You're saved by grace through faith, so just keep the faith, believe that Jesus died for you, and keep sinning, right? Keep bringing shame to him because he died for you. keep sacrificing him afresh. But go ahead.
This is Revelation chapter 3, verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot.
So the Most High wants you either hot or cold. He wants you on fire in the truth, reading precepts after precepts. Like I told that sister earlier today, a woman has to have an adamant spirit. Adamant means, and this is what I said about my rib, that her gift is she had an adamant spirit coming into the truth. If we would read something, she would immediately be like, okay, we can't do that no more. Oh, okay, it says that, okay, I'm not wearing pants no more. Throughout all her pants. That's right when she learned that. Right? Wore the same 3 or 4 skirts and dresses repetitively for a few weeks or months. Just kept going through them till we got more with fringes on them and stuff. Right? You have to be adamant. If you read something and it's in the truth, no matter how you feel about it, no matter if your feelings and emotions get you upset, you're gonna do it anyways. If the word says keep Sabbath, you're gonna keep the Sabbath. If the word says to honor your mother and father, you're gonna honor your mother and father. You're not gonna, well, you know, they blah blah blah, they're not in the truth, or you're not gonna make excuses. You're not gonna try and find loopholes. Go ahead.
So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth.
So if you are not hot or cold, right, the Most High is gonna spit you out of his mouth anyway. And we just read earlier in Sirach 26 that your harlot is going to be counted as spittle anyway. Right? So in reality, you're spiritually being a harlot, a whore, by believing some of the scriptures. But then, you know what? No, polygyny, though. I know the scriptures say that. And I know I'm an Israelite. And I know that the 12 tribes of Israel came from a polygynous relationship. But I don't accept that. Not me.
Not my man.
Right? Not my
man.
Taking ownership, right?
Right.
Not my man, but in reality, a woman is the possession.
My woman,
so if in reality the man has the option to do that if he wants to. Now that's not saying that he should do that, because just like we were talking about earlier, if you want to get 1 Corinthians 6 and 12,
all things are lawful, but not expedient.
Con. For most men, let me say this right, because a lot of sisters are not going to like the whole polygamous topic. Let me say, most men cannot handle a polygamous relationship. Mm-hmm. If a man isn't, let's put it this way. If a man and a woman, he's married, if he has a wife and they don't have a successful or a good relationship already, do you think throwing another woman into the mix is going to make it better?
No.
Not at all. So you have to be aware of whatever type. As the man, you have to be aware of the relationship that you're in, and not try to do what a lot of men do, right? They'll try to get into polygyny just because, let's be perfectly straight up, they just want someone else to have sex with. Right? So now if that's the case, that is not going to be profitable to the man or to the woman or to the woman he's bringing in, to the children, and to any of his house. But go ahead.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any.
So just because something's lawful to you, right? Talking about polygyny is lawful. I could show you laws where it says how to deal with taking on another wife, meaning it's lawful. Yahushua said in Matthew that he did not come to destroy the law, right? Not one jot or tittle will pass away from the law. So, but just because it's lawful does not mean it's expedient. Expedient means profitable, right? So just because a man may say, oh, well, I'm allowed to do it, but that doesn't mean it's good for you, right? And it says not to be brought under the power of anything, right? So when you really think about it, men that want a second wife just for sex, they are now under the power of that woman because she can provide them sex, right? And the sister said, Our women see it as competition, but biblically it's about nation building and also our purpose as women to help bear children and serve Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Focus on your part and not the other.
She got a beautiful spirit.
Khan. All praise to the Most High.
Mm.
You DM me after this is. I know you said you haven't been baptized, so we can find a brother in your area. I know brothers in the West Coast, Arizona, where else? Georgia, Pennsylvania, Virginia. Because yeah, you're definitely speaking facts right now, right? And wish I had learned this sooner. You know what? I personally learned not to ever say things like that because the Most High's will is going to be played out in any way. I know exactly what you mean, right?
But it happened the way it happened for a reason.
Exactly. You wouldn't have learned the lessons that you've learned going through it if you hadn't been through it, right? But it's true what you said, right? And Khan, can you get Isaiah 33:6?
Con.
So she said, poly is for stable-minded men and women.
Con.
100%.
Absolutely. This is Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure.
So wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your times. What's going to keep you stable right now, of course, but also especially in Jacob's trouble, is wisdom and knowledge from the word. Now, as a woman, and this sister just admitted earlier that women are emotional, and I've said this many times, but of course I'm gonna get more slack because I'm a man. Women are emotional beings. Way more men are emotional as well, but not nearly as emotional as women. So, in order for a woman to be stable-minded in Jacob's trouble, she is going to need a hedge of protection or a man that is stable-minded to help keep her stable-minded. Could you get 30 what is it? 32:2?
And a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a cover from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land.
So a man of the Most High is going to be just that in Jacob's trouble. And in reality, right now, that's already coming to pass. Because with all the things that are happening ever since the so-called shamdemic, right? Ever since that happened, a lot of people are not only financially declining, but their mental, their spiritual, all these things, these bad things from all the fear mongering basically is really what it is. Right? All the fear mongering is very, very depleting to women, especially. You see all these things happening, and whether you realize it or not, if you're single and you don't have a man, it's going to be a lot more, it's going to weigh you down a lot more, because in the back of your head, just like we read in Genesis 3:16, the Most High put the spirit on a woman to want to be ruled over by a man. So when you think, if you know the scriptures and you know about Jacob's trouble, what Christians call the tribulation, and you know what the scriptures say about what's going to happen, then you know that whether it's subconsciously or consciously, you know that you need this, right? A man to be a hiding place. He's going to be a shelter. He's going to be a refuge. He's going to be like streams of water, right, in the desert. He's going to be like a shadow in a weary land. That's like, have you ever been to the beach and it's so hot it's burning your feet?
Man.
And then you hit that shade.
Amazing.
Right? That's exactly how a man of the Most High is going to be to women on a way bigger and more spiritual level in these days, right? Sister Polly is lawful but not expedient. And when you really think about it, though, if you could get Matthew 22 and let me see.
I feel as if for some people it is expedient, but it ain't expedient for everybody.
Con 22 and 36. And yeah, it's let's put it this way. If you're stable minded enough, because like the sister said, poly is for stable minded men and women. If you're stable minded, the man and the woman, and when I say stable minded, I mean you're moving off of wisdom, because that's what being stable is. It said wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of thy times. So you could say I'm stable minded, but if you're not moving according to the scriptures, then no, you are not stable minded, because you may know of the scriptures, but if you're not following them, like the brother said, you're being double minded, and double mindedness leads to unstableness, right? But go ahead and read that out.
You said verse 36?
Oh, yeah, start on 36.
This is Matthew chapter 22, verse 36. Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love Yahweh thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment.
So we know that there's an actual definition in the Bible of how to love the Most High, right? 1 John 5 and 3. It's to you love the Most High by keeping his commandments, right? So that's the first and greatest command. But keep going.
And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So the second greatest command is to love your neighbor as yourself, right? So now let's put it this way. And this is something that I've asked certain sisters, some that believe in polygamy, some that don't believe in polygamy. Can you follow the second greatest commandment according to our Messiah if let's say you're a sister in the truth and you're married, right? If you're single, just put yourself in that position. If you're married and there's another sister that's sincere in the truth, and she's like, man, I just really need someone to guide me as well. I need to be covered. I see all the stuff that's coming, etc. Can you, as a so-called woman of the Most High, turn down that woman and still keep the second greatest command?
No.
You can't. Because if you were in that position, you would want for that sister to take you in and be like, you know what, you're gonna be my sister. I know what you're going through. I can relate to that, or I can understand that at least, and you should be a part of our household. I'm not gonna let my feelings or my emotions get involved and turn you away, right? But we know that that's not the case for most people.
It's so hard for modern women these days to really put their feelings aside and just understand how beneficial that is. Like, you basically cursing that sister by saying, no, my emotions is too strong for me to accept that. This is my man. The Most High made him my man specifically. He didn't make me for him. He made him for me. That's how these females think nowadays.
Calm. Let's go to James chapter 2. 2 and 14. Sister said, I'm in Jamaica. Man,
I give you a piece of advice since you're in Jamaica, because I had a similar experience. I wasn't out the country, but I tell you this. For one, constantly pray about it and ask the Most High if it's in his will that he aligns you and puts you in a position to be able to get baptized and become a part of the body of Yahushua. Now, I'm not going to tell you how he's going to do it, because if it is in his will, he can do it in many different ways that you might not expect. He might actually relocate you out of Jamaica to somewhere where you might actually, find somebody who is actually going to be able to baptize you in the right way. So the biggest thing is just pray about it. Ask him if it is in his will for it to be so, because in the book itself says that, you know not what's going to happen tomorrow. So you should always say if it's in the will of the Most High.
Con, most definitely.
James chapter 2.
You can start on 15.
Con. This is James chapter 2, verse 15.
Salakia, 14.
14. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be you warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. Yeah, a man may say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works.
So verse 14 says, what does it profit you if you say you have faith, but you don't have works? Can your faith alone save you? No, this isn't the Christian church, right? That's not the truth. So verse 15 says, if there's a brother or sister that is naked or destitute of daily food, right? So naked, obviously, when you think about it, physically, it means you don't have clothes on. But if you think about it spiritually, it means that the sister is not covered. What is a man going to be? Isaiah 32:2, a cover, a covering, right? A protection. So if a brother or sister be naked or destitute of daily food, and you tell them, depart in peace, be warmed and be filled. If you tell them, you know what? I know you're going through this, sister. I know you're not covered, but go find yourself a husband. But your husband is like, you know what? This sister is pretty sincere. I could provide for her. What do you think? No. You're my man. Not. You're not gonna have another wife. Now, first of all, that would be a weak man to just take that and
To be like, okay,
all right, you're right.
okay,
Yeah, I'll listen. As into the Lord.
okay.
Right. But a man, when you really think about it, right? Let's put it this way. The experience, from personal experience, me, and I'm not saying every man has to do this, right? If it's not something specifically stated in the scriptures, then that is for the man of the house to decide. And I've said that many times. Like, for example, if I went to if I went to the brother at y'all's, wherever he's staying and he's married, and we're studying, and his wife don't have a head wrap on, I'm not going to be like, hey, put a head wrap, or you need to tell her to put a head wrap on. There's nowhere in the law that states a woman has to have her head covered. Now, there is precept, right? Mm-hmm. But she is not my responsibility. She has a covering and has a head, and she is not my responsibility. And even more than that, there's no law that says she has to do that, right? But the point is, me personally, the times that I have thought of courting certain women or specific women, I have asked my wife to be a part of that process, because like we read earlier in the scriptures, a woman could be a tower against death to her husband, right? And I respect my wife's discernment and judgment of character, because she is a good wife, right? So now when it comes to this, it says, if one of you says, depart in peace, be warmed, be filled, but you don't give them what they need, what does it profit them? Right? And then it says 17, even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. So you could say you believe the Bible, right? But then when it comes down to it, if your sister is naked, it's literally what it says in the 15th verse, and you don't give them what they need, you're just saying you have faith. You have no works, and you're not following the second greatest commandment, which is what? To love your neighbor as yourself. I guarantee if you were in that position, then you would have a totally different spirit pertaining to the situation, right? For some reason, I've been dwelling on this lately, because I've been telling my sister this. They be having poly in the world, knowing the sis low key not want to let go of the man. So why can't you do it right? True. Yep. If it's of Yahweh will, it will be done. Khan. And in the end, that's what it comes down to, right? That's what everything comes down to. And as we read in Isaiah 4:1, it is going to happen. But if we're doing things decently and in order, like it says to do in 1 Corinthians 14:40, let all things be done decently and in order. You can't have the attitude of, okay, well, in Jacob's trouble, I'll do it.
I'll worry about that when it happens.
Right? I'll worry about when my house starts burning down, then I'll think about getting a fire extinguisher. Right?
That's exactly what that is.
That makes absolutely no sense. That's like saying when my house is burning down, I'll try to teach my children the escape routes. How is that going to go?
Somebody gonna die.
So exactly.
I'm gonna call it how it is. Somebody gonna die.
Somebody is going to die. That's exactly right. And that's a sad thing to think about, but that's the perfect example, right? Or that's like, man, there's so many examples we could give of that. But let's go to Micah. Is that 7:10 or 7:16? 1 second. So the sister said, Khan, the water kings for this lesson surely wasn't like Khan. All praise to the Most High.
All praise.
All praise to the Most High. And this wasn't even the direction we were honestly thinking of going in,
Just
but
moving through the spirit.
exactly through the Spirit of the Most High, he wanted it to go in this direction. Which in reality, this is the answer for a lot of sisters, anyways. Because it's like my rib was talking to a sister about this real recently too, and the sister's looking for a husband, and she was like, well, to be honest, she was like, well, how do I know if the man is really the Most High? She knows that precept, how's it go, be always with the godly man,
be continually with the godly man whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Most High.
So you want to be with a man that you want to be continually with a man that to keep the commandments. Now, like I said earlier, or like I said previously, there's certain brothers that will say they keep the commandments. They will post themselves in fringes. They will even post themselves out teaching, or they post nothing but verses and posts pertaining to the Most High. But then once they get so-called married, really, they have sex, a lot of sisters find out, you know what, they're really not keeping the commandments. They're really not men of the Most High.
And Yahweh Shai said, foolish, I think he was talking to the Pharisees. He said, clean that was on the inside of the cup before that on the outside of the cup.
Calm. The inside, the inner man, the inner garment is what is more important. So going back to what I was going to say is that the sister was saying, how do I know if a man's really keeping the commandments? Like, they basically saying it's the same in the world and in the truth. Like, a man can tell you whatever you want to hear. And as the weaker vessel, if it sounds good, you just might believe it if you don't have discernment. So she was telling the sister, if you search for a head that already has a wife, at least you can have someone else to talk to as well, as far as like, okay, well, how does he run the household? How many times does he teach you a week? How does he deal with does he have anger problems or certain things like that? Now that's up to the woman and up to how the man runs the household to divulge that much information or things of that nature. But the point that I'm making is it can be a lot more beneficial for a woman that's single to not only go into a relationship with a man, but also have a sister to talk to, right? So Micah 7:10.
Then she that is mine enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is the Lord thy God? Mine eyes shall behold her. Now shall she be trodden down as the myrrh of the street.
So a lot of women are going to get trodden down in the days to come. Shame is going to cover them, just like we read in Isaiah, the 3rd chapter, going into the 4th chapter. Shame is going to cover them, meaning that there is nothing else that is going to be on their spirit, right? There's a lot of sisters that are dealing with like what they'll call in the world depression at the time, right? That is a spirit of depression, right? And when you really think about it, shame, being ashamed, that's the same thing. You're imagine being so ashamed of yourself. Imagine knowing, and we've talked about this, and I've said this many times before, the Most High is going to put the spirit on people in that day to just be completely covered with shame when it comes to like, man, they told me.
Man, regret, grief, all that.
They told me. I heard this, I don't know how many times, and now I'm experiencing it, and I should have listened. And it's like that brother Chris, following Yeshua, had said too, a long time ago. I remember hearing him, and he was like, you had imagine like a city is burning down, right? and you have a brother that comes and he says, hey, I got this extra ticket. It's a ticket on the train. It's the last ticket out of here. And you're like, okay, hold up. Let me get myself together. Or, okay, well, let me think about it. And then you finally see the city burning, right? And then you're like, I need that ticket. And either the train is already gone, or the brother's like, nah, I already got somebody else to fill that seat.
Oh,
Right. And but in the end, you're gonna know that it was all your fault because you had the opportunity. Right. And failure, I've said this many times, I haven't said this in a while, but failure is painful, but a missed opportunity is way more painful. Right. Because and I know that from experience because like when it comes to when I used to do fighting, I lost a fight and I lost by decision. It was real close and it sucked. It was like, man, I should have won. They were even booing the other dude. They were booing the judges and stuff. And I was like, damn, man, that it's hard to deal with. But when you miss an opportunity and you're like, damn, I had the opportunity that I didn't even take it, right? That's even harder to deal with. And that's going to be how it is for a lot of women in the days to come. If you want to go to Isaiah 32 real quick, and I'll read the precepts of brother. Hey, shalom, shalom. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakata'ak. Hope all is well with you. Barzayah Judah. Isaiah 3:18. In that day, Yahweh will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls and their round tires like the moon. So what this is going into, and it keeps going on with the jewelry and their changeable apparel, all the different outfits. This is talking about all the things that these women seek or that they put value in. Clothing, jewelry, weaves, jewelry, makeup, shoes, all of these things that are worldly. Do you really think that that is going to save you in the times to come? Can you, let's put it this way, can you eat your makeup when the famine hits in less than a year and you can't, or when you can't afford food? You're gonna be sitting there, you're gonna be looking at your makeup like, you know what?
It looks delicious.
It looks great. It kind of looks like masa, like how do you call it? For the tortillas or for the unleavened bread? Flour.
Like flour.
It looks like right. You're gonna be you can't eat your shoes, you can't eat your clothing, your clothes, your new car, your new shoes, your jewelry are not going to protect you in the days to come like a man of the Most High can. You're gonna be me and my rib were talking about this actually. There was a brother that I don't know how much money he spent, but man, it had to be at least $1,000 on some jewelry for him and the female he's with. And the first thing my rib was saying is like, man, imagine how much food he could have bought with that. Imagine how much seeds or food you could have bought with that. Imagine how much water. I was thinking like, man, you could buy one of those big old water catchment, 500-gallon. There's so many better things that you could spend than jewelry, because guess what? That jewelry is going to make you a target in the days to come. Now, I'm not saying, okay, I got some gold earrings on right now, but I've had them for shit, I don't even know how long. And they cost maybe, I don't even remember, maybe like $90-something. But guess what? I'm a man that knows how to possess my possessions, so I take care of them and they last. And this is literally the only thing I've ever spent that much money on. So
I have some diamond earrings and I barely even wear them. But even then, I didn't even spend. I mean, of course, they was pretty like pricey, but even then, I take care of them.
But the point being, this is going into women, right? And women, like, man, women that are spending or putting their faith and even their money, like we were talking about earlier, money is a defense, right?
It is.
Money is a defense. But when you don't use that money wisely, it is no longer a defense. It's a distraction. And a distraction is going to lead to destruction. So the brother said, Khan, bring that out. Khan, the water. So go ahead and start on verse 9.
Khan, this is Isaiah chapter 32, verse 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip ye and make ye bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins.
So he is saying you need to tremble. You need to be in fear of all these things that are coming, that are going to come to pass very soon. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. This is the problem with most women. They are at ease, especially single women. They are at ease. They think they got so much time to do what they got to do. When in reality, if you want to, I don't think we read that right. Isaiah 13 and 12.
I don't think we read that.
Kind of. We mentioned it a couple times. In reality, let's put it this way. If the Most High says that a man is going to be more valuable than fine gold, more valuable than fine gold, then what is more important? According to the scriptures, what is more important? Making money, getting physical gold, or getting a man that is more valuable than fine gold?
Man, building that relationship up with that man.
Come on, go ahead.
This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir.
So when you read about Solomon, right, he would send ships a year's journey to go get the gold from Ophir because it was the finest gold they had ever seen. So this is saying that a man of the Most High, is more valuable than the finest gold on the earth, right? And when you really think about it, going back to Isaiah 32 and 9, it says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. You careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Everything that we've been reading throughout this whole, almost 2.5 hours right now, it's all coming from the word. So it says, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled. We're barely come. There's some sisters right now, or some females right now, many of them, that are already falling away because of emotions, because of just the weight of having to really, when you think about it, if you're single, you are carrying the weight of both man and woman, because you're still a woman, but you are now not only you're supposed to be a helpmeet, so you're trying to help yourself out, but in reality, you're playing the role of a man too. You're working, you're doing all the things, you're providing, trying to be the provider and the helpmeet. And it's like I was telling the brother earlier, think about it this way. If you're a woman and you go to work, right? Or even for married women, right? You go to work and you have a male boss and you do whatever he says. And you're not going to give him no attitude, because guess what? You get fired. And then you come home from work and now you're stressed out. You had a long day at work. You were busy being fake because you were upset, but you didn't want to say nothing. You still had to be nice and cordial, right? And that's being fake like that is very, very draining. Very draining. I know, because when I would teach, jiu-jitsu, especially to the kids, and there would be 30, 40 children, so you're dealing with all their parents, man, let me tell you, it's very draining being fake. So for women being like that, coming home and you are drained. As a single woman, you're drained. As a married woman, it's like you don't even have the energy. Now you're supposed to cook for the man. Now you're supposed to take care of your children and still do all these other things, right? It can be very, very stressing and draining having to do that as a woman, right? So you want to read 32 and 10 one more time?
Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come.
The things that you are going to, the gathering that you're trying to make or trying to gather, right? Whether it be riches, whether it be fancy cars, clothes, etc., those things are not going to come to pass. And if they do, it will be to your destruction, right? there's what is it? I believe it's Sirach 40:17. Con. All of these things are not going to help you in any way, shape, or form unless you are being nurtured by the Most High. If you want to actually get Wisdom of Solomon 3 and I think it's 11. Right? We're going to probably get like 2 or 3 more scriptures and then close it out. Salakia. So many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Verse 11. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. If you do not get in the fear of the Most High right now, and I'm not saying be scared of the things to come. I'm saying be scared of what the Most High is going to do. Right? I'm not trying to, like we were talking about fear mongering earlier. I'm not trying to fearmonger to be afraid of man or be afraid of physical things. But guess what? If you're afraid of the Most High, you believe that these physical things are going to happen. So you're supposed to fear the Most High and what is going to happen. Right? But go ahead and if you want to start on, I believe it's 11.
3 and 11. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 11. For whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain. Their labor is unfruitful, and their works unprofitable.
So whoso despiseth wisdom. A lot of women despise the fact that the Bible says they were created to be a helpmeet to a man. A lot of women despise the wisdom and the fact that a man is supposed to be their head. He's supposed to nurture them with the word, right? This says, for whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable. And this is why, like the sister said earlier, Casey Walker, let me see if I can find it real quick, that women are not doing too good, right? That single women are not doing too well. Here it is. My experience thus far, our women need to be guided righteously by a man. Sad to say, the ones without guidance aren't doing too well. You know why? Because they despise wisdom and they despise nurture, right? And it says you'll be miserable if you do that. And then it says their hope is vain. Oh, well, I hope I make it through the things to come, but I don't want no man. I hope that I can make money and get cars and a nice house and provide for myself and all these things. But this says when you hate or despise wisdom, those things are not going to happen. Their labor is unfruitful, their works unprofitable, right? So this is something we have to understand. A woman is supposed to be nurtured by a man. And if they don't want to be, then the Most High he may allow you to increase in a way that you think is profitable to you. But in the end, like I said, it's only going to be to your destruction. Right? And this is Sirach 41:8.
Woe be unto you, ungodly men, which have forsaken the law of the Most High God. For if ye increase, it shall be to your destruction.
So sometimes the Most High will allow you to increase. Oh man, I'm getting money. Oh man, I got some vehicles. Oh man, I got a nice house now. Man, I got this Gucci, Prada, Fendi, whatever the case may be. I don't even know no more, bro. I don't even
a bunch of nonsense.
Right? I have all this stuff, but guess what? He's allowing you to increase to what? To your destruction. So physical increase or financial or vain increase. And that only leads to your destruction. Right? So let's I guess we could finish with that. Second Ezra's 16:33. Khan, the water for the lesson, Malak, very edifying, eye-opening lesson for me. Khan, all praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. Like I said, we weren't even going this direction, but through the Spirit, the Most High had the sister come on here and kind of change the direction of it. But
much needed.
it's all to the edification of the Most High's people. And like it says in Isaiah 55:11, the word is going to go out to whoever he wants it to go out to, how he wants it to go out to, and it's not going to return void, meaning it's going to accomplish whatever he wants it to accomplish, right?
This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verse 33. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms, and women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers.
So the last thing I'll put in your head, right, to stick with you, okay? The last thing is that we have to understand that all throughout the scriptures, when you read about the captivity in Jeremiah as well, and it said that they were crying of reproach and shame because they didn't have husbands, right? They all throughout the scriptures, you'll see women that are in this spirit, like it says in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, right? They are ashamed because they don't have a husband. Even the daughters are ashamed because they don't have fathers. So to the best of your ability, like the brother was saying, start by praying, but also start by getting yourself in the correct spirit, right? But then like Yahushua said, ask and ye shall receive, seek and ye shall find. Don't be sitting over here under a rock somewhere and the Most High is going to send me a man, blah, blah, blah.
Faith without works is dead, oh vain man.
Exactly. It's like we were talking about earlier as well. If you want a job and you pray for a job, is the Most High just going to drop it in your lap? He can if he wanted to, but he is going to work with those that are working for themselves. In other words, you go apply for 10 jobs and you pray to the Most High, look, I've been doing this. Please just give me a good one. The Most High is going to make that happen. But if you're sitting around, same thing, right? With this topic, same thing. If you're sitting around, oh, please give me a man. But then anytime a man ever tries to talk to you, oh no, like, oh, this brother, oh no, right? Khan, I'm a single man, so I'm looking out for things like this. LOL. Khan.
Hey, all praises, man. You gotta be on alert, man.
Khan, and I don't know if I don't think you got on at the beginning, but basically for women and for men, right? There's single sisters that obviously they need a head, and then there's men. There's some. Oh, remember we're talking about that in Matthew, how it says there's some that are made eunuchs, eunuchs of men. Some that were born eunuchs, right? There's some that were made eunuchs of men, and there's some that were eunuchs for the kingdom's sake. So there's some men that they were born with genital defects. They can't have babies. They can't have sex. There's some that like in certain captivities, like the Persians, they would cut off the man's penis. They were made eunuchs of men. Men turned them into that. And then there's some eunuchs that don't have a wife for the kingdom's sake, like Paul, right? He wasn't dealing with women. But then at the end of that, it says, he that can receive it, receive it. Most men nowadays can't receive that.
They can't.
Right.
If you really want to be real, I ain't trying to take it off topic, but in Jacob's trouble, there's going to be a lot of men being made eunuchs by men.
And to be honest with you, in the society that we're in, and I'll use myself as an example, right? I would not want to be a eunuch for the kingdom's sake, as in like just not dealing with women. Right? I would not want to be one of them. I couldn't be one of them.
Just being honest.
Yeah, just being straight up. And the majority of men with the hypersexualized society that we're in can't do that either. Right? The water for your continued labor. Khan, same to you, Ak. I be seeing the videos that you're posting up as well and stuff. We just like some brothers tell you the same thing. You help brothers and sisters that you don't even know about. So
what is saying,
keep laboring.
Consider that I labor not for myself, but all those who seek learning.
Khan, exactly. So just keep doing the work, Art. Keep doing the work. I've been corrected, the water. Khan, all praise to the Most High. Khan, Aman, Khan. I gotta go back and watch. I just got out of camp. Khan, all praises. That's a mighty lot. And that's why Yahushua said, those that can receive it, receive it. Right? To be honest, I can't take that lot. If it be of the Lord, so be it. Khan. All praises. All praises. But yeah, so going back to finish, but you know what? Actually, we didn't read that. Isaiah 13 to 16. We'll finish with that. Because that's talking about Jacob's trouble as well. Right? You want to have the main purpose for a man is to provide protection. And now there's certain sisters as well that I've heard say this. Well, the Most High will protect me, right? I'm not saying that the Most High cannot protect you, but if the Most High made a man to be your protection and he made you to be covered by a man, then why would you turn down what the Most High made for you?
That is your protection.
That is your protection. That's why the order says Yahweh, Yahushua, the man, the woman. It doesn't say Yahweh, Yahushua, the woman. Done. That's not what it says. So go ahead. Or actually, if you want to start on, I think it's like 14. Oh, no, 15 is cool.
Fine. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 15 through 16. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword.
Anybody wicked is going to be put to death, or worse, because we know in Second Ezra's, it's just like the brother was saying right here. If that's his lot, everybody has a different lot. You could be put to death. You could be left for death. You get stabbed and it takes you, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days to bleed out and die. You could starve to death. It also says in that same chapter of Second Ezra's that there's going to be people that die of the sword, and those that don't get killed by the sword will die of the famine, which is going to be even worse. You got to imagine seeing your children or people you love.
I think it even says that somewhere in the book where it says it's worse to die by famine than to die by a sword.
So imagine, and if you read the book of Lamentations, right, which is a real short book, what is it, 5 chapters, I believe, and you read it, and it talks about what happened when there was famine. They turned to cannibalism within like a 2 weeks period, I believe.
Mothers was eating them too.
Their children are dying, and they're just eating them because they had nothing else, right? Go ahead.
Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished.
So imagine seeing your children or any children that you care about for that matter get dashed to pieces, get shot by a whole bunch of bullets, get torn up or get stabbed, right? Or your house getting broken into and everything gets stolen, right? Or getting ravished, which means getting raped. And don't think it's going to be like some people, maybe you get raped and then you get killed. But then some people, it's going to be like,
you're my sex slave.
Yeah, I'm going to keep you and I'm going to use you as many times as I want.
You're going to be tired up.
And like I said, when which one was it? Oh, when I did that, it was probably close to 2 years ago, that music video for Straight Gate. And me and my rib sister went to go record some stuff downtown Brownsville. For those of y'all who don't know, Brownsville is like the most southern city in the whole United States. It's on the border of Mexico and America. It's the most south you can possibly go. So we were downtown Brownsville, which the border is literally like 30 seconds away, a minute away, right? And we were recording, and my rib sister noticed a couple of times. She was like, man, that's the second time that van goes by. And I noticed it too, you know what I mean? And she was kind of getting scared. She kind of walking a little closer to me and stuff. And I was like, it's cool, don't worry about it. Like, I got my gun on me. And the Most High, like, you're with me and the Most High is going to protect us. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah, don't worry about nothing.
But everywhere, it didn't help that we were walking around and it's at nighttime, right? And every corner we go, there's another missing person, like paper, you know what I mean? Picture. And the majority of them, I'd say like 80%, 90% of them, of course, are females. And then as we were talking about this and stuff, another van went by, and the first one was just completely whited out. It didn't have no windows, nothing like that. It was just the 2 front door windows. The next one that passed by, it literally had a chain on the back, like holding the 2 back doors together. So when it would hit the bumps, you would hear the chain rattle.
Know what that mean?
Right? So she was kind of freaking out. And I was, I was calming her down and stuff. But the point is, imagine if this says all these things are gonna happen, if Yahushua, if our Messiah said that it's gonna be worse than ever before, right? Then in those times is not gonna be the time to get right.
Mm-hmm.
In those times is not gonna be the time to, okay, I should get covered. It's gonna be too late for the majority of everybody, not just sisters, right? For everybody. You want to read that?
She said, you should want to be useful or fruitful. Now that's key right there. Useful or fruitful. Ask yourself, what purpose do I serve as a woman? If you're going against the order of the Most High, just think about that. Be useful, all in all, at the end of the day. That says a lot right there. You should desire to be of use. Pray to be useful or purposeful, sisters. Man, oh my goodness. The Spirit is talking through you, because like I don't think a lot of sisters really do understand that. They look at it like I'm the catch. They think I'm the catch. They think that, oh, every man's supposed to want me, and you know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody or nothing like that. How the brother was saying earlier, they feel like Yahweh Shai is the one who is, Yahweh Shai is my man. Like, no, it's not like that at all. You hit it on the head when you said be useful or be fruitful. But females take it out of context when they say be useful. Or matter of fact, let a man sit here and tell a woman to be useful or be fruitful. They're gonna take it out of context and think that we're like, oh, you think I'm just some type of toy? You think I'm a slave or something? No, we're not saying that at all. It just means that the same way you expect a man to come and be your head and bring something to the table, what are you gonna bring to the table? Why should a man come and be your cover? What do you have to offer? Why should I pick you out of everybody that the most I could possibly see?
Calm. And think about it this way: if every sister had that spirit, how am I fulfilling my purpose as a woman?
What was you made for?
What were you made for? So if I was made to be a helpmeet and I was made to help be fruitful and multiply, but I want to be single and have no children, you are literally going against the word of the Most High. And as a matter of fact, I don't know how we didn't bring that out. If you want to go to 1 Timothy 5:14. So and just because you said that, I was going to bring it out earlier, but I forgot. There for the sisters that I've heard, and I've heard multiple sisters say this, and man, it really, it almost disgusts me. It vexes me, but it's almost disgusting to me that you would say, Christ is my man, right?
You not righteous, baby.
Because when you look at, if you know the law, you would never even make, if you know Yahushua, or if you knew the law, you would never even fix your lips to say that, right? This is
really prideful, to be honest with you. It's very prideful.
This is Leviticus 21:13. So when you're reading this in context, this is talking about the priests, okay, which were the Levites. But of course, now, as the scriptures say, we have a high priest, okay, which is from the order of Melchizedek, which we're talking about as well. Yahushua, he is the head priest. And of course, he follows these laws, right? But just to give you some insight on, for the sisters that say, Christ is my man, Yahushua is my man, even Jesus, even though we know that ain't the name, Jesus is my man. I don't need no man. This is Leviticus 21:13. It says, and he shall take a wife in her virginity, a widow or a divorced woman, or profane, or a harlot. These shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. Do you think that Yahweh, I'm not saying he has a wife, okay, but if he was going to get a wife, do you really think he would get some woman that is not a virgin, that is divorced, that is a harlot, that is profane, when the law says priests are not able to do that?
Right? You're going to go against his own word.
Exactly. He's going to go against himself, the word in the flesh. And when you really think about it, right? So just to give y'all some insight, think about the self-proclaimed priests of your favorite camps, right? Think about them. There are some of them they have admitted they are with women that have been very promiscuous. We'll just say that.
Yeah, we'll keep PG.
Right, but we'll go PG. That have been very promiscuous, and they don't believe in water baptism for remission of sins, right? and they've admitted their women have been with many men, but they're priests, but they teach the law, and they teach if you don't keep the law, you're not going to make it into the kingdom.
Be not a hypocrite.
Right? But then this says that the priest shall take a wife in her virginity. But they should, the priest can't take a divorced woman, a widow, or profane. You remember that one that we were talking about?
Yeah.
There's some so-called brothers, some so-called priests, some so-called priests. They have the most profane, and they teach against water baptism. So there's no remission of sin, but they still take them to wife. Why? Because they're not taking them uprightly, like it says in Titus.
Lust of their own flesh.
They are taking them for lust, right? And also, like I said Titus, it's Tobit. Let me read it real quick, and then you can read that. This is Tobit 8 and 7. It says, "And now, O Yahweh, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly. Therefore, mercifully ordain that we may become aged together." So me and the brother Jomar were talking about this last time, and because he's courting the sister, most high willing, he'll get married to her very, very soon. And we're just talking about this is crazy because right before Tobias was gonna finally marry the woman that he was gonna marry, he went into the marriage chamber, which is the chamber where they have sex, right, to consummate the marriage. Because back in the day, it doesn't matter if you say, okay, we're married. It's when you have sex, when you consummate the marriage, that's when you're married, right? So they go into the marriage chamber with the bed, and guess what he did? He got her. They both kneeled down to the Most High, and they prayed before they had sex. So how many men do you think are gonna get a woman, and then they're about to have sex? They're about to get butt naked, and they're gonna, you know what? Before we get married, hold on, let's pray to the Most High. And they'll say this, "Oh Yahweh, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly. Therefore, mercifully ordain that we may become aged together." And she said with him, Amen. And they prayed to the Most High and asked for him to watch over their marriage, and they grow old together. Right?
That's the right way to do it.
That's the exact right way to do it. But like I was saying, a lot of brothers and even sisters, they're just doing it out of lust. They're doing it, like the brother said, out of the lust of your flesh. So I know we said, well, this is going to be the last verse. This is going to be the last. This is the perfect thing to end with.
This is 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 14. "I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully."
So remember, this is the Most High's word, right? So people will be like, no, well, Paul said, man, I've been here. Some brother sent me something from a certain camp, and they were saying, well, no, Paul said that, though. That wasn't the Most High. It was Paul. But the scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High. But Yahweh and Yahweh Shai said that I come in the volume of the book. But anyways, they said, no, well, Paul said that. Show me in the law where it says that. But we know that the scriptures are given by inspiration of the Most High. So in verse 14, it says, "I will, therefore, that the younger women marry." So the Most High's will for women is to get married. Then it says, so now it's giving the reason why right after, right? It says, "I will that they marry, have children, guide the house." Why?
So they don't give any occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully.
Exactly. And now this is something that I've heard many times over the years, but also recently, right? There's sisters, man, there is sisters. And bro, it's one of those things like you have to laugh because it's so, you got to laugh so you don't get vexed or so you don't, you know what I'm trying to say?
I do it all the time.
Okay. So there's sisters that will say this, well, you know, I live with either my mom or my dad, my grandparents or parents or even worldly people or whatever, and I'm really trying to follow the truth. But man, they just keep saying all this bad stuff about me, and they keep blah blah, or you need to do something with your life, or you need to get a job, or you need to go to college, or you need to stop being lazy. This is the adversary speaking reproachfully. That's exactly what it doesn't matter if, well, I study every day though. but that is not your purpose. Your purpose, you weren't put on the earth to study every day. The Most High didn't say, I will therefore that the younger women study every day. That's not you. I'm not saying don't study, right? Because somebody's gonna try and twist my words. I'm not saying don't study. Yes, you should study. It's actually in the law that you should be in the scriptures every day. It's all throughout the scriptures, right? But what I'm saying is the Most High says, I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. So by you not getting married, by you not guiding your children, and a lot of the women that this happens to are single mothers, right? So it's completely understandable when you're living with your mom or your grandparents or your parents or somebody else in your family, and they say, do something, like do something with your life. You need to do something for your child or your children. You actually do. You can't just sit around and do nothing. What are we talking about? Idleness.
Idleness breeds evil.
Idleness teaches much evil, right? So the Most High says his will for you is to get married so that you won't give an occasion. You're giving the opportunity for people to speak shame on you because you're not married, you're not guiding the children, you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do as a woman, right? Go ahead and read the next verse as well.
For some are already turned aside after Satan.
For some of these women are already turned aside after Satan, right? And this is what a lot of people don't understand. There are people, just like they say, that once you get the mark of the beast, you're done, right?
Yeah,
you're done.
So
but guess what? There's already people that are turned aside after Satan, according to this. What is it? Proverbs 21:16. It says, they that wander out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. There's already people that are spiritually dead. The scriptures say when you dishonor your father, your light can be put out. Yep. That's not talking about it. It can be your actual physical father, but that's speaking more spiritually.
You consider it as a blasphemy.
If you're disobeying your father constantly, you're disobeying the word over and over and over and over and over. There's a point where the Most High could just be like, your light is out. That's it. You have no more chance. Oh. And you don't know. That's the scariest thing. You don't know when that is.
You still going hard in the truth, supposedly. You think you're going in the right doctrine. He gave you over to the wrong stuff, and you think you're doing the right thing.
You're ever learning, but never able to come to the actual knowledge of the truth. Right?
I was told Hamashiach is my husband now. I should focus on him. Not saying it's not good to do so, but Hamashiach cannot be my husband. I'm glad you understand that. And whoever told you that, the Most High heard that conversation, so he knows. Because that sound out of order. It is out of order. I mean, just being honest, like, I mean this with all due respect. There's not a single woman who is righteous, at least in this time period, who's righteous enough for that to even be a thing. It even says in Sirach that by women came sin into the world, and by her we shall all die. You know what I'm saying? It's three wicked things in the world: your heart, your eyes, and women. And it's a reason why women are in there. I mean that in all due respect. I do. You know what I'm saying? Because a woman can be sanctified by a husband though, if she married. And if she following the word. But man, women kill me, man. People kill me when they say, Hamashiach is my husband. She said, I want to marry a baptized man, and many brothers do not believe in baptism at all. Stay away from them. Hey, all I gotta say is stay away from certain camps that don't believe in baptism. I'm not saying there's all camps, that's bad, because I mean to each their own, but I haven't heard of no camp except for one so far that actually believes in water baptism. But even then, it's not really about a camp. It's about the person itself. I would say just pray to the Most High that he sends you a man who is in the truth for real, who actually live in these scriptures the right way. I'm pursuing being baptized. Once baptized, is it lawful to marry a man not baptized if it comes down to it? I would definitely say it definitely is lawful, but that would be a sticky situation though. It's just, you're gonna have to learn a lot about his background.
Yeah. So what does Amos? My phone just died. Amos 3:3 say. You know that? Oh yeah, we'll wait for it. I'm gonna get a scripture too.
Yeah, off the top of it. Amos 3:3 says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" So if you are baptized and he's not baptized, whether he believes in baptism or not, if he's not baptized, just logically thinking about it, not emotionally thinking about it, I would say that's low key a recipe for disaster. Now it would be different if he was baptized and you weren't baptized, because he's a stronger vessel.
And he can baptize you.
Yeah, because he can baptize you, but you're the woman, so it's kind of like you walking into the wrong. I want to give you a scenario. It's like you just walking into it's like you setting a mouse trap for the mouse, and you put some food down there that you like yourself, and then you come back and try to grab it and forgot you need to set a trap, and then you just snap your own finger, just like that.
So this is another good scripture. Second John 1, and I'll just read 10. If there come any unto you and bring not this doctrine, receive him not into your house, neither bid him Godspeed. So what I would say is, if he's not baptized, he has to believe in baptism and then be baptized.
And it also says somewhere, I forgot what book it was, where it says the man has to be the first partakers of the fruit of Yahweh. So it means that if it is a recipe for disaster if he's not baptized. He has to be a partaker of the fruits if that's going to be a thing, if you are planning on doing that. Or of course, pray to the Most High that he sends you the right man, so you don't have to go through that. But if it comes down to it,
I would highly advise against it.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
Yeah, I would highly advise.
It's not going to be profitable to you in any way. Let's just put it that
way. Especially not in these end times.
And like it says, if you want to go ahead and get that verse out.
Second Ezra, chapter 16, verse 75 through 76. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for Yahweh is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith Yahweh. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves.
So in that day, you should, in Jacob's trouble, right? You shouldn't doubt, because Yahweh will guide you. But he's only the guide of those that keep his laws and precepts. And then it says, don't let your sins weigh you down. Right? So a lot of times brothers will say, or men will say, where does it say in the law to be baptized? Which there is so many symbolic references we could go to. But let's go with their train of thought, because that's what I'll do a lot of times, right? Go with their train of thought. Let's say, okay, it's not specifically in the law. Get baptized in water in the name of Yahushua, right? Even though we can show you many examples that
even Yahushua showed himself.
Yeah, symbolically as well, in the law at least. But the precepts, there's countless precepts we could go to about water baptism, right? So when it says, let not your sins weigh you down, and if baptism is for remission of sins, right, then your sins are going to weigh you down, because you're still carrying the burden of those sins in some way or another. Because think about it this way, like the scriptures say, that sometimes sin is, the punishment for sin doesn't come right away. Sometimes it's going to come later on. So you have to get baptized in order to get the weight of that sin off of you.
And that sin gonna come at the worst time possible too.
So it's like I don't know if that's ever happened to y'all. I believe it was my grandma that one time that happened with when I was younger. And basically it was like one of those things. I don't even know how to punish you right now. I'm so mad, but when I know, you'll know. So that's not something you want to risk with the Most High.
It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the Most High. So yeah, it's good. It's good that you trying to get baptized for sure. Definitely, you get baptized. Work out your own salvation, and if it's in the will of the Most High, as you continue to pray, maybe He'll send you a man, who is actually walking in the truth. Of course, you got to be very specific when you ask, it says prepare yourself when you pray to the Most High. You know, and be not as one that tempts the Most High. But it just means to be very, very specific about what you're asking for. Asking, you shall receive. So.
Because you could say, "Oh, please send me a husband," and guess what? Satan hears you, and he's like, "You're praying out loud, and and Satan hears you, or one of the evil spirits hear you, and they hop on some dude, and I'll be your husband, but he ain't even in the truth, right?
You gonna be like, Most High, that wasn't what I asked for. Yes, it was.
And at first, you're gonna think he answered your prayers, right? That was quick. That was last night.
Too fast.
That was on my lunch break, and now this dude at work's hitting me up.
Too fast.
Right? So this is Psalm 37:4. Delight thyself also in Yahweh, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto Yahweh, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. So the first thing it says is delight yourself in the Most High by reading the word and doing it, and don't let it be grievous, right? And it says he shall give you the desires of your heart. Then verse 5 says, commit your way to him, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. So these verses, and then also in Proverbs 3 and 5 and 6, people love to quote these verses, right? But what you have to understand, when he says commit your way to him and trust in him, that doesn't just mean, okay, I trust in him, whatever happens, happens. Committing your way to him means following the word, applying it to your life to the best of your ability. Trusting in him means, okay, it's not going the way that I expected it, but I trust in the way that he's leading me, right? And I'm going to trust in, even though my emotions and feelings make me want to do this or say this, I'm going to trust in his word, and I'm just going to do it, even though it's hard. And he shall bring it to pass, and he shall give you the desires of your heart.
Mm-hmm. So many precepts that can go with that.
Oh, con. That's a whole nother video.
Me. Oh, that's fantastic.
Right? But with that, I'll say, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah to all the brothers and sisters that are sincerely trying to follow the word and follow after Yahweh Shai's example. The water, everybody who hopped on here. The water sister, Casey Walker. You dropped a few gems that hopefully a few sisters or even one sister can learn from and put into application. Shara, the water for the input as well. And brother Barzayah, appreciate it. I know you're always hopping on when you got a chance, pitching in some verses and things of that nature. So call halal Yahweh, Basham Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. I hope y'all have a good night, good weekend, and I don't know when we'll be on here again, but Most High willing soon.
All praise.
Khan, shalom.